uniform, what sets it out from the rest. But it doesn't clean itself. That's not just the shirts, it's the shorts, the socks, the training gear, the boots, the other bits we sort out behind closed doors. Who's the one digging around in that smelly, stinky laundry basket at full time? Yeah, it's the kit man. They have a lot to work on in a week, from laundry, fixing damaged kit, repairing holes, cleaning boots. Then they pack the van and take everything they need off to the stadium, ready for game day. They don't get a lot of help when they get in the ground too. Kitmen are the ones unloading a full squad's worth of boots, kit, medical bags, and all the bits the players and coaches will need between the start of the day and switching off the floodlights at the end of the day. First thing they do is organise each player's kit, make it easily accessible in order to avoid any dramas on match day. Once everything's in the right place, it's into the dressing room, lay everything out, put players' nameplates on the right locker, all the things you don't even think about on a match day. Once the players arrive, if anything needs doing, they call the kit man. In the meantime, it's on the kit man to help set up for the warm-up. The coaches don't always have time to lay out all the cones and put the balls in those weird triangle piles you see. As the warm-up is underway, the kit man then becomes a glorified ball boy, chasing stray shots and passes, making sure they aren't lost in the crowds. They eventually do the tidying up too, getting everything off the pitch before kick-off and assist the ground staff with any last-minute things they may need. After that, it's last call for the players. Then, at kick-off, they can breathe a sigh of relief for a few minutes, sit back and watch the game, enjoy the fruits of their labour. At half-time, check everyone's okay and everything's as it should be, and then wait for full-time. Once the final whistle's gone, it's time to pack everything down, get the stuff that needs to be washed in the laundry, pack up the van, back to the training ground, and ready to do it again next week. Of course, each club differs, and different staff members will have different responsibilities, but we pay tribute to all of those who do it, whether it's the glitz and glamour of the Premier League or a cold Tuesday night in Stoke.
Good morning to you. It's 3 minutes past 6, Tuesday, February the 10th, and this is talkSPORT Breakfast with Arnold Clark. The UK's biggest used car sale is ending soon. I'm Jeff Stelling, and live from Glasgow this morning, Ally McCoist. Morning, Coisty.
Very good morning, Jeff. How are you this morning?
Yeah, I'm not bad, mate. You?
Good. I'm in good form.
Good.
Watched the highlights of that game last night. What the result that was for Borough, wasn't it?
I watched it all, mate. I have to tell you, the sports bar that we sometimes go to games to watch,
yes,
it wasn't heaving with Borough or Sheffield United fans.
So
but there were four Borough boys next to me, and they made enough noise to make up for the empty spaces.
Well, I only watched the highlights, and it looked quite level pegging. It looked as though Brennan and the Borough goal, a couple of good saves, a couple of chances.
Borough are the better side, Coasty, by a distance.
There you go then.
By a distance.
Deserved their victory.
Afterwards, even Chris Wilder's come out and said it was a statement win for Middlesbrough. They're the best side we've played this season by a long way.
There you go.
I think United started brightly. Borough took a stranglehold for the next, 40, 45. They got their goals.
Yeah, good finish.
Second half was a flurry at the end from Sheffield United after Bamford had scored. But they never really... There's a slight panic in the Borough ranks, I think. But Sheffield, they never really looked like equalising. Not in my view anyway, so...
I tell you what, it puts them in a great position, Jeff, doesn't it?
I think they'll go up, mate. And people won't thank me for saying that on Teesside now. And, I don't want to curse them or anything like that, but from what I saw, then they'll go up. They've got some lovely footballers there, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, none better than Hayden Hackney.
Yeah.
Who I think last night the question was asked: is he the best player in the Championship? I don't think he'd be far off.
Is that right? Looked the part.
Yeah. I mean, look, Championship fans out there like to know who is the best player.
Where did they play on the left-hand
Championship.
side in midfield?
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, they've got lots of the quality. Obviously, Morgan Whittaker didn't score for 8 months for them. His first 8 months at the club, he didn't score. He was getting pelters.
Yeah.
He didn't score last night, but I think he's got 11 for the season. Looks the part. Tommy Conway's scoring. Morris looks good. Yeah. Melander at the back, young boy. As you said, the goalkeeper, Saul Bryn, that was excellent on when he was called upon.
Yeah.
So I really fancy them. Really fancy them to go up now. And Coventry away next Monday.
That's a game. That's exactly what I was going to say. That's a game, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, the game that'll be.
The thing for me, Coisty, is so many people have tried, haven't they, there to get them back. They haven't been in the Premier League since 2017. And you look at some of those who tried to get them back. Tony Pulis, Jonathan Woodgate, Neil Warnock, Chris Wilder, Michael Carrick, Rob Edwards. And then along comes Kim Hellberg, who I think it's fair to say was a left field appointment.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, I didn't know anything much about him, you know, and but he's got them playing. That's 6 straight league wins. Wow, you know.
Definitely promotion for him, isn't it?
Yeah, and by the way, and I know people think I bang on about the North East, and it will be great to have Newcastle, Sunderland and Middlesbrough all in the top division. The Borough fans last night sold out away end at Bramall Lane. They made a lot of noise during the course of the night as well. It's just great to see, and I feel it for Steve Gibson as well. Who,
I'm with you.
You know, the ultimate chairman.
Brilliant, isn't he?
Yeah, fantastic.
When you think what he's done for that club, Jeff, it's remarkable.
Yeah. I don't know if you noticed that in the second half, Forgotten Man came on, Calvin Phillips,
I know.
for Sheffield United.
I did see that, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's been a long and difficult journey for him, hasn't it? You know, I thought he showed enough in the minutes that he got last night to suggest there's definitely still a player in there, you know, and I was casting my mind back to just how good he was.
I know.
In his Leeds days.
Do you know what? You are, Jeff? You feel for him. You just want him to get back playing at a good level and back enjoying his football, because, I mean, it's just effectively, it has been a lot. The moves have been a disaster for him, really, hasn't it? He's not found any form at all, and you feel now you just go and play, just go and enjoy yourself, go and get playing again. So if that's the case, then so be it. That would be great for him, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I really hope that he can find a place where he can flourish again, because it's been a nightmare few seasons. I mean, he was in the England side, for goodness sake. You know,
he was
regular starter.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, unimaginable. Richards texted, he said, Ollie McBurney might not be the best player, but he's certainly the best striker. He is. I'm not going to use that phrase, actually. He's a big unit, I think is what it means. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And he's having a great season, that is for sure. Now, huge night, Premier League football, Coisty, on the talkSPORT network. For Thomas Frank, it's simply must not lose. You know what? It's not even that. It's must win. Never mind must not lose. It's must win as Newcastle come to town. Frank, 13 wins from his first 37 matches in charge. No Premier League win in 2026. Speaking to the media yesterday, he was asked about his captain, Christian Romero, who, of course, is suspended for tonight's game.
I think it's a couple of things. Of course, answer this question, but then I think we spoke enough about Romeo last two press conferences. So for me, I think he's a leader. I said it before. He's a young leader, so he's learning all every day. I said I used the example. I remember when I was 30 years old, I thought I was on top of the world. I was nowhere near the level I am today in terms of leadership and understanding things. And then when you have a player that is playing with so much passion and aggressivity, then sometimes things like that can happen. That's not said that he shouldn't learn from it. Of course, he needs to learn from it going forward.
Yeah, I take his point, Coisty, that, you know, as you mature, then you become better in terms of leadership. But in footballing terms, he's not a young leader.
Correct.
He's 28 next birthday.
No, absolutely.
28 in April.
No.
He should know better, shouldn't he?
Oh, yeah, of course he should. Absolutely he should. And I would probably say he's at the last chance saloon in terms of that. So I do take his point. And in modern life, he's right. But you're right to point out as a footballer he's not. So I thought he let his side down completely at the weekend. I mean, there were calls for him to be stripped of the captaincy. I said yesterday, I'm not sure I'd go that far. But he has to learn, and he has to learn now, Jeff. Simple as that. I mean, sending off at the weekend is one thing, but he's now, you know, he's out for so many games now for his team. And you correctly said that the importance of this game this evening is absolutely massive for Tottenham, massive for Thomas Frank, and he won't be skipper there. So no, I still don't think he'll be there at the start of next season. If you ask me the question, but I mean Thomas Frank he's defending him there, which is understandable because he's his player and he's his captain. But Romero should know better, and he has to learn absolutely immediately. Not in the future, immediately.
Yeah, and when you say you don't think he'll be there next season, and there are a lot of rumours flying around that maybe he's going to be off to Spain in the sunshine, it does beg the question, you know, does he care? Does he care when it comes to responsibilities?
Certainly didn't look like it on Saturday. I mean, it has, as you correctly said, there's one or two people thought he was a little bit unlucky. I didn't. I thought he knew exactly what he was doing, mate. And when attitude like that, you'd have to say he didn't look as though he cared. Well, I tell you what, I can guarantee you, Jeff, he didn't care enough on Saturday. I'm not, you know, you would question if you're a Tottenham fan travelling all the way up to London to watch that. He has let you down. He's let his teammates down, and he certainly didn't care enough at the weekend.
And what it's done, of course, is every team's got injury problems. But I don't think anybody's quite got injury problems like Spurs have got. And you know, to pen a cliche, Harry used to use it a lot, down to the bare bones. They are down to the bare bones tonight, aren't they?
I mean, I don't care what anybody says. You have got to sympathise, and I know all teams get injury suspensions. I've just got a quick look in front of me just now. I mean, Udogie, Richarlison, Madison, Bergvall, Bentancur, Davis, Kulusevski, Spence, Danso, Kudus, Porro, Romero. That's ridiculous. I mean, that's a team and a half, just about, Jeff.
Yeah.
And it's as you correctly say, for Thomas Frank, you know, especially, it is a massive 90 minutes tonight.
Yeah, and I think Thomas Frank was effectively saying yesterday that Dejan Kulusevski probably won't play this season, which is a huge blow.
It's massive.
Blow, because he's one of their standout performers, isn't
Without doubt.
No doubt. Don't forget, all 10 Premier League games this midweek, live and exclusive across the talkSPORT network. Head over to our app where you can swipe between all of our stations and find every game live tonight and tomorrow. I asked you who was the best player in the Championship. Rob from Cambridge says Femi Aziz, Millwall by a mile, the best in the Championship. Sam in Lymington says Cienza for Southampton, best player in the Championship. And again, he's made an impact for the Saints when a lot of people haven't. And again, Ian, a Hull City fan, says Ollie McBurney, and Charlie Hughes at Hull City and Hayden Hackney at Middlesbrough. Mark says, yeah, Middlesbrough go up and straight back down. English Premier League boredom. What, straight back down like Sunderland, eh, Mark? Or straight back down like Leeds, eh, Mark? You don't know. You
never know.
Not know.
I'm with you. I think it'd be brilliant if the three of them up there in the North East teams.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Nobody gave Brentford, Mark, a chance of surviving in the Premier League. Look at where they are now.
Yeah.
Look at the 2 or 3 seasons they've had now. Look at Bournemouth now. You know, there are plenty of success stories from sides who have come up and who were expected to go straight back down, who have not done that and who have flourished in the Premier League.
You've got to believe.
Got to believe. Got to believe. Right, coming up, we'll turn our attention to the back pages and whether a win for United tonight against West Ham could force the board at Man United to give Michael Carrick the job permanently. That's next.
I'm all for the hard yards, and I don't think getting rid of Aubameyang was the same comparison because Arsenal didn't miss him and didn't lose anything as a result.
They did. That season he went to Barcelona and scored a hatful of goals. They made the Champions League. Arsenal didn't win the Champions League, but their future was to be a better one.
Everybody knew
there has to be a sacrifice here.
Everybody that sat in the studio, and me and Jim being included, forecast that Aubameyang would lift the leg when he went to Barcelona. We all knew it because he'd go and do it in spurts. What he was doing was creating a polluted environment inside the dressing room that was relatively solidified in certain ways of a new manager.
Impressionable young players.
This is a different dressing room. Now, I don't disagree. The harder yards are that you take control of a situation. So let's get it right. Arteta was being supported by his board. He was supported by his board in the Aubameyang decision. You've got a group of people that didn't employ Thomas Frank, that are not entirely sure about Thomas Frank's future. So he's going to go to them and say, the player that you just signed a 4-year contract on, that we've made captain, I'm going to jettison him.
You're suggesting that, son. You wholeheartedly, they gave Thomas Frank the job.
No, they didn't.
Well, why not? How are you saying this? Do you have inside information that we don't have then?
Yes, I do. Because Daniel Levy and self-evident information.
He's not there anymore, is he? So what's he going to do?
So my point. Don't be so bloody stupid then. Daniel Levy's not there, and neither is Paratici. They were the two.
So he's exposed now because he's gone.
Yes, I do. I think he's absolutely got no allies there.
Well, maybe he's better off without him.
Well, that's a different argument.
Because maybe that person was also detrimental long-term to the club.
Which argument do you want me to respond to?
If you want to look at everything, the money that Spurs have made and how valuable they are, and the shares that are actually Daniel Levy's shares, by the way.
Got to do?
Were those decisions made for Daniel Levy's shares to become even more valuable?
Right, so all of that has...
Or was it for the team on the pitch?
All of that has nothing to do with Christian Romero. Right, so let's go to the point in hand.
Well, you spread it out. You spread it out into.
No, what I did is I talked about the ridiculousness of your binary argument, which is just
not ridiculous. It's not ridiculous.
Sat here 2 years
ago. It's not ridiculous because.
Hello and welcome to talkSPORT Goal. We've been taking you through what should be another busy day of football. Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology.
How would you get to that conclusion?
That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
A stranger to my eyes, strumming my pain with his fingers, singing my life with his words.
Morning, this is talkSPORT Breakfast with Arnold Clark's Real Sale. It's your last chance to save big on your next car. The sale ends on the 16th of February. And Jeff Stelling Ally McCoist is with us. This is your musical educational moment again. Coisty?
Killing me softly. I want to say Gladys Knight, no?
No. Not bad try, though. Roberta Flack.
Oh, Roberta Flack.
Yeah.
Yes.
Would have been 89 today. I think there were really two songs, weren't there, that I remember for Killing Me Softly and First Time Ever I Saw Your Face.
Great song.
Yeah, both great songs.
Yeah.
She had a lovely, lovely voice. Jordan, who's an Ipswich fan, says, Hayden Hackney, head and shoulders above any other player in the Championship. We tried to get him in the summer, but he stayed loyal. Credit to the lad. Not enough being spoken about the Coventry crumble. Sounds like a dessert, Jordan, doesn't it, that? They're still on the premises. You know what? If you'd asked any Coventry fan at the start of the season if they'd take this, whoa, they would bite your hand off. Bite your hand off right now. Okay, let's turn our attention to the back pages.
Back page review on talkSPORT.
And Olivia Bazagler's with us. Hi, Olivia.
Morning, Olivia.
Morning. We're going to start, actually, with the back pages. Winter Olympics on the back page of the Eye. Fall Guys. Brooks' big air gamble failed to land a medal. Did you watch Mia Brooks? Because I actually watched it last night.
I did too.
And she was so close, Jeff.
Agonisingly close.
Oh, my God.
Agonisingly close. I mean, it is a spectacular event.
Oh, my. Do you know, that's the first time I've ever watched it. And I was blown away by how incredible they all were. But knowing that she came that close, because I wasn't sure, obviously, when they land, obviously, if they fall, obviously, it doesn't count. But she obviously didn't fall. She just sort of stopped in the snow, didn't she? She didn't come down, like, smoothly, but she was agonisingly close. Again, on the back page of the Times, so near, so far. Mia Brooks finishes fourth in the snowboard big air final on a day.
Kirsty Muir had finished fourth as well earlier on.
That's right.
On missed medal opportunities for Team GB. But also there's a story in the back page of the Times. Keely backs Olympic bid.
I just want to stop you before you move on, Olivia, because Mia Brooks, Coisty.
Yep.
Okay. You know what music she trains to?
What?
Metallica.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh
Metallica.
That's my girl.
Bit of Black Sabbath sometimes, but principally Metallica. That gets her in the zone.
That'll do for me, Jeff.
She was serious yesterday. Well, even just when she was preparing to go down that slope, I don't know, she just looked in the game. Oh, it was gutting for her.
Sorry.
No. You go ahead. Keely backs Olympic bid. 800-metre champion Keely Hodgkinson wants Manchester to host the 2036 Games and would be keen to compete. She's saying it would be her dream to compete if the 2036 Games were held in Manchester. Right, let's turn our attention to football then. And to Manchester United, because could it be 5 in a row for Michael Carrick? Just quickly, I know we've spoken a lot about this guy Frank getting his hair cut. Can you believe in this day and age, Jeff, that managers are being asked in press conferences about a fan getting his hair cut?
No. I mean, it's pitiful, to be brutally honest. There are a lot more important things when it comes to Manchester United, including whether you would... without offending West Ham fans, because I'm not suggesting this is going to happen, but if they go to West Ham and win, 5 wins on the bounce, at what stage do you say... You've done enough for me. You've got the job permanently, if you want it.
Probably just about that point, I think.
Do you think?
I mentioned to you the difference in the whole place. I got there 3 hours early on Saturday morning. You just feel it. I mean, a completely and utterly different environment. You know, there's a buzz. Everybody's happy. There's an enthusiasm. There's a positivity. Everything that you'd want about your football club was at Old Trafford on Saturday. It really was. Plus the most important thing, which is the results and the performance. So I think we've got a game tonight, by the way. I think that's a game tonight, which I'm looking forward to it. It's a real test because West Ham, particularly in wide areas, I think have been excellent. So it's a game tonight. But I don't know about you, Jeff. I think, if he gets Champions League football, which looks as though it, will be the case, I think you've got to give him the job, Jeff. Because see, if you don't give him the job and you give it to somebody else and they don't do well, you leave yourself open to some unbelievable criticism.
Yeah, and I feel, guys, that they can't go too far down the path of wooing and talking to other managers, which they're going to have to do, if they believe they might take somebody else. You're not going to get an Ancelotti or a Tuchel or whatever by, turning up one day after the World Cup and saying, actually, do you want our job?
Correct.
There's got to be a lot of work goes into that. And I think there's a danger of going too far down that path when actually people quote Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and say, look what happened once he got the job permanently. And it might happen to Carrick as well. Well, it might do. It might happen with anybody.
Correct.
But it might not as well. So for me, I would say, done a great job so far, son. This is your reward. You've got the job if you want it.
It's funny because, see, looking at it, guys, and it's easy when things are going well. Obviously, I get all that. But I just think he looks comfortable in the position. Which is a big thing as well. He looks as though he can handle it. He looks as though he's enjoying it. And it's clearly you're going to enjoy it when things are going well and that, and there will be tougher times ahead. But I just think a little bit like, I look at a couple of these players on the pitch, whether it's Cunha and Bruno, they look comfortable being there. I think Carrick looks really comfortable in that dugout.
Yeah, he does. He's got a good team around him. And Martin, who is a Man United fan, he asks a question that everybody will ask. Is it not still new manager bounce? He said, I'm not convinced he's long-term. It's hard to tell, isn't it, to be honest, Martin?
Yeah.
Whether it's new manager bounce, but they play with a swagger and a style. As you say, and Boomer and Cunha and Amad Diallo and, of course, Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah.
And he's restored, the Maguires and the Luke Shaws to their best, and they've finally got a good, reliable goalkeeper as well.
Yep.
I do think so. I think if they do get Champions League, which I think they will, because it will go down to 5th, and they also don't have any other competition to focus on other than the Premier League, I think they're going to have to make a big decision to make because, it is Manchester United at the end of the day. And if say, a Luis Enrique becomes available in the summer and he wants to go to United, and he is one of the most elite managers we've got out here in world football right now, so then it's like, well, do you go for someone like him or do you give Michael Carrick the job? In the back page of The Sun, Carrick is ZZ Top. Zizou? Right, I'm just going to give you a little bit of context because Michael can be United Zidane or Pep, says Joe Cole. I'm not quite sure if this has been taken a little bit out of context. We're talking about the man that won 11 trophies at Real Madrid, 3 back-to-back Champions Leagues, 2 La Ligas, 168 wins in 263 matches for Real Madrid.
Yeah.
I think he's going down the route of, because he knows the club and he's got knowledge of it and his demands of playing at the highest level. And Guardiola and Zidane followed stellar playing careers with Barcelona and Real Madrid by leading their old teams to glory. That's the route he's going down, not necessarily all the success that Zinedine Zidane had with Real Madrid and Pep Guardiola has had as Manchester City. Do you understand, Ali, what Joe means by this? Feels a little bit too soon, maybe.
Oh, of course it's too soon. Absolutely too soon. But I think he means as a figurehead leading the club. Yeah. I don't think there's any doubt that's the angle he's gone down. Because it's madness, effectively, to try and compare him at this moment in time to somebody with a track record as Zinedine Zidane. But I do understand the point he's trying to make as a figurehead.
There's an interesting text coming as well, guys, saying if Vincent Kompany can do a mediocre job and get relegated with Burnley, then be rewarded with a job at Bayern Munich, why can't Michael Carrick be the manager of Man United? I think it's worth saying that Bayern Munich were in a lot healthier space than Manchester United were. But it's a good point, isn't it?
Yeah. And Hastings did another great result the weekend. Kane got another couple of goals, 5-1. No, but that I can understand that baffling people. It baffled me to a certain degree as well. It was as if no matter what job that Vincent Kompany did at Burnley, he was getting that Bayern Munich. As if he'd been set up for that Bayern Munich job for a long, long time. And, has to be said, he's doing well.
Yeah. You know what? If they lose 4-0, Man United lose 4-0 at West Ham tonight, we won't be having this conversation for a while.
Definitely. Although,
how fickle are we?
In Nuno's press conference, it was quite interesting. He got asked if there was any big players missing for the game, and he said yes, but he wouldn't tell us who. Now, there's rumours that it could be a couple of their most important players. So if Jared Bowen or Crescencio Somerville are missing, then I would expect Manchester United to go on and win that game comfortably and make it 5 out of 5 for Michael Carrick. And you can't deny what he's done. But I think, Jeff, the key thing is not just the football, not just getting the best out of the players. It just feels like the whole club is almost back to, maybe not back to the United of old, But it just feels like it's maybe on its way to getting there. And I think that's the biggest compliment you can give to Michael Carrick since he's come in, that it's not just on the pitch, that it feels like he's changed, but off it as well. Yeah,
you couldn't agree more. John's texting in to say, Carrick will take the Spurs job, lads. Well, John, there isn't a Spurs job. But you know what? Actually, I shouldn't be cynical, because, John, you're right, John, because if Matt Carrick doesn't get the Manchester United job long term, he's going to be right in the frame now for other Premier League jobs, isn't he? No question. Olivia, thanks very much indeed.
Thanks, Olivia.
Coming up, we turn our attention to an interesting appointment in the EFL, and also ask what on earth is going on at Leicester City. That's next. Dave from Sutton says, City goal should have stood. I hate how ex-refs say rules are rules, ruining the game. VAR can bore off. Charlie from Derby, thank God it was the third goal and not the second, because City would have lost 2 points. Another one here saying, the ref has to take the emotion out of it and disallow the goal. Isn't football all about emotion? Without emotion, what would the point be in anybody watching at all? And so on and so on. And so on. So many people are furious with it all. And maybe our next caller, I'm not sure, about to find out, because Neil Warnock has called up. Morning, Neil.
Good morning, Neil.
Good morning, lads. Yeah, I had to do that, yeah.
Go, come on then, what did you make of it?
Well, the thing is, I go back to when I was a young kid, me. My dad refereed, he was a top referee, a Class 1 one, but he would never get to the top because he didn't sell enough raffle tickets for him and these dinners and things. he just refereed how he should do by using common sense, so he never got on. And I remember Bill Shankly saying, they know the laws, but they don't know the game. Yeah. And nothing has changed in all them years. I listened to Chris, and Chris is a lovely bloke, but he's one of them. They know the rules, they know it inside out, they know what should be happening, they know this, but they haven't got any idea about common sense. And they all think if we don't give this, then we'll lose some marks and we'll lose some... And it's a load of absolute rubbish. I've never heard anything like it. And it's all, Craig Pawson, I remember at Cardiff, him costing...
Would you give up the chance to play for your country to become a global star of your sport and earn huge money doing it? Well, that is the choice now facing rugby players because of the proposed new R360 League. Led by 2003 Rugby World Cup winner Mike Tindall and backed by major investors, R360 wants to radically change rugby union. Its goal, replace traditional clubs with franchises, inject serious cash and add a bit of razzmatazz. In their words, it's about making rugby more watchable, accessible and entertaining. Rugby union is under real pressure right now. Domestically, many top-tier clubs are financially unstable. R360 claims removing clubs' biggest costs, i.e. star players' salaries, would make the sport more sustainable. Their solution is a franchise-based league featuring top players with tournaments hosted in a number of global cities. Each city would stage a short 3-month season with concerts and fan engagement events designed to attract new audiences. While no players are officially confirmed, reports suggest around 200 have signed pre-contracts, which are worth up to 750 grand. But rugby's authorities have drawn a hard line. A number of national unions say any player who joins R360 will be banned from Test rugby. Some may be against R360, but we know others are being swayed by the cash. Will everything work itself out? Or after the European Super League and Live Golf, have we got sport's next big scandal on our hands?
Good morning, 6:35 on Tuesday, February the 10th. This is talkSPORT Breakfast with Arnold Clark. The UK's biggest used car sale is ending soon, so check it out now. I'm Jeff Stelling. Ally McCoist is with me, and Andy has texted. I think people are getting carried away with Carrick at United. There's a massive difference in pressure from being interim to full-time manager at a global club with the expectation of the United fans and board. Although Carrick is part of the United family, I personally would hate to see us miss out on Pochettino, Luis Enrique or Ancelotti after the World Cup. It just feels like Ole's at the wheel again. It's an accusation that keeps getting thrown at Michael Carrick, isn't it? That Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, when he got the job permanently, it didn't work out for him. No reason why that should be the case with Carrick. Not in my opinion, anyway, you know. And we'll never know, Coisty, unless he gets the chance.
No, but he's... The one thing you can't argue with, he hasn't put a foot wrong. Almost absolutely perfect record so far. Big game for them tonight. And all he can do if he wants to get the job, and I'm sure he does want the job full time, is continue doing what he's doing.
Yeah, completely. Now, as we mentioned, new leaders at the top of the Championship. Middlesbrough's win over Sheffield United last night sees them 2 points clear at the top of the table. They were 10 points behind Coventry not so long ago. And as ever, it's all change at Watford, who've appointed their new manager following the resignation of Javi Gracia, their third manager this season, and it's Edward Still who'll be taking the reins. Familiar name? Yep, he is the brother of former Southampton boss Will Still. What made me smart, Coisty, was that he's got a 2.5-year contract. Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Did you say year contract?
Yeah, absolutely. He's the 23rd permanent manager since the Pozzos took over in 2012. Permanent manager.
That's absolutely ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about clubs having continuity, and a solid base, and then you get Watford.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
It's a real left field appointment, you know. He's managed in Belgium.
Yeah, I thought he was not more of an assistant.
Yes, he was. Yeah, well, he was an assistant to his brother, you know. But he has managed on his own without notable success, it has to be said. Now, it doesn't mean to say he's not going to do well at Watford.
No, an interesting appointment, that's for sure.
Yeah. There's never a dull moment, is there, at Vicarage Road, you have to say. Never a dull moment. Leicester City are another club with issues, that's for sure. One of the fixtures that catches the eye tonight is between Leicester and Southampton at the King Power, two relegated sides, of course. Saints, their fortunes improved a little bit recently. Not so Leicester. They've yet to appoint a permanent successor to Marty Cifuentes. They had a 6-point deduction last week. On the field, things have been pretty awful as well. The caretaker manager, Andy King, has been very firm on his position at the club.
No, my stance on it is that I'll do it for as long as they ask me to. I'm sure they're looking at it as well in terms of who's coming in next. So, like I said, this isn't for me to put my name in that. I'm not doing that. I'm just purely doing this until they find somebody else, and then we can hopefully move forward.
Situation. The club needs proper leadership. Andy King is a leader. don't get me wrong, and he's got a lot of respect from the supporters and people in the football community, but he's just not got the experience at the moment. And what Leicester need is experience, because they're in an absolute mess. They're only outside the relegation zone on goal difference after that points deduction. And you look at the games coming up after tonight against Southampton. They play Southampton again in the Cup at the weekend. But before the end of March, they've got to go to the leaders Middlesbrough. They've got to go to third placed Ipswich. They've got games against playoff chasing Stoke, Bristol City, QPR and Watford. And they also play Norwich, who are bang in form at the moment. So by the end of March, there's some really tough games coming up for them.
Well, Jeff, you touched on it. You'd have to say back-to-back relegations sadly looks a distinct possibility. Where have these problems come from? Because, I mean, it's easy for me to sit up here and say this, but it's kind of sneaked up on me, this situation at Leicester. It won't have, obviously, to Leicester fans, but it's kind of sneaked up on me. I just look at the table there, and frankly, I can't believe it. Where's this come from, these problems?
Well, the club has been pretty poorly run for the last 3 or 4 years. Now, of course, we know what happened with Leicester with winning the Premier League, winning the FA Cup, a couple of top 5 finishes in the Premier League as well. They would recruit players and then every year sell a player for big money. And people looked at Leicester's recruitment. They looked at Leicester's selling technique and basically how the club was run. And people said that is how a smaller club should be able to compete and should be able to do it. But what has happened is they were giving out ridiculously long contracts, players on massive wages, which has led to PSR issues and has seen them, obviously, when they got relegated from the Premier League, 3-4 years ago. Yes, they came back up under Enzo Maresca, but they still had some quality players, the likes of Ndidi and Dewsbury Hall and Vardy and others. But this season, just no direction after the problems with Steve Cooper and Ruud van Nistelrooy last season. Marty Cifuentes always looked like a bit of a gamble. One of the problems is they can't defend. They've not had a clean sheet for about 5 months in the league, and they're struggling to score up front. Jordan Ayew is not he's not a number 9. Yeah. Patson Daka has just completely lost his way. The best player that they've had this season, Jordan James, on loan, which they would hope to try and buy at the end of the season. He's currently out injured. So it's been a lot of things over a period of time.
Yeah. I mean, Jeff, I'm not being clever after the event. At the start of the season, I said I thought all of the relegated sides would struggle. Now, I'm wrong about Ipswich, but I'm right about Leicester. And all you had to do was look at the players that left. Obviously, Jamie Vardy, Mads Hermansen, Casey McAteer, James Justin, Wilfred Ndidi, Bilal El Hanous, and so on and so forth. Bubakar Samari, Wout Faes. The numbers, the quantity of players that they lost was just phenomenal. Buonanotte, and it just goes on and on and on. So I always thought they'd struggle. What do the fans want? Who do they want? Because I keep seeing the name of Russell Martin banded around.
That's one name I think it's fair to say that majority of fans do not want. Yes, he got promoted with Southampton, but I don't think his style of football necessarily is what the Leicester fans would like. They kind of want a little bit more direct, not long ball or that kind of old school thing, but just perhaps a little bit less passing around. We've got to try and beat the press, which is a lot of what Russell Martin done. And listen, Russell Martin's had success, so not knocking him for that, but I just don't think that is what Leicester fans really need at the moment. I think they just want somebody who is going to instill some discipline and make them hard to beat. I don't think the fans are that worried at this point of the season in terms of how they play, about being pleasing on the eye. They just need to be stronger at the back. They brought in Jamal Lascelles, who looked relatively solid at the weekend. I think he might be an excellent signing if they can keep him fit. They just want someone to come in who is going to shake them up, get them better organised, just stop leaking goals. And discipline has been an issue. They've had red cards in the last couple of games in the first half of matches. As Andy King said, we can't keep shooting ourselves in the foot. So if they get a win tonight, maybe Andy King will stay for the weekend. But you just worry from a fan's perspective, have the club got a plan moving forward?
Jeff, thanks so much, mate.
Thanks, Jeff.
Cheers, guys.
Problems at Leicester. Is it too early in the day for bad gags?
Never too early.
Never too early. Okay.
Never too early.
Well, here it is. This will take some beating, actually, in terms of how bad it is. Adam from Salford said, speaking of that Watford appointment, Ed Still gets his hair cut at my barber's. Said the hairdressers are always shouting his name. I told you it was bad.
I told you it was never too early.
Adam, thanks, mate. Right, still to come on breakfast.
Superstar Breakfast preview on talkSPORT with Travis Perkins. Download the new improved app to easily manage your accounts and quotes.
Stay tuned. We're going to be joined by a man who knows the Premier League inside out. He won a League Cup during his 3 years at Liverpool. We'll have a whole 30 minutes with the former Newcastle, England and Liverpool midfielder John Joe Shelby. I bet John Joe doesn't get that gag about the hairdressers. That was our breakfast preview with Travis Perkins.
Superstar Breakfast preview on talkSPORT with Travis Perkins. Get free next day track delivery. Head to travisperkins.co.uk or download the app.
These players sometimes have got too much of it. They live in an environment where they're constantly told how wonderful they are. They're constantly provided for and supported, and you have to do that because it's a difficult game at times to play at elite levels. And don't put all the rewards to one side. But unless you start confronting people with their shortcomings as well as their positives, you will not build character, you will not build resilience, you will not build leaders, and you will not build people that actually make a team.
But Van Dijk says, Sammy, when you're getting bullied after a disappointing performance or receiving bad criticism, it's hard for the younger stars to ignore.
But Jim,
you dish it out, to be fair to you. You can dish it out.
We're talking about former...
Do you ever
with respect, we're not talking about Simon here, we're talking about former players.
Do you ever think for a moment,
could I speak on that?
Should a pundit ever think for a moment, I wonder if that kid, I wonder if that'll affect him, what I've just said.
Depends what's being said about them. If you turn around and say that a 19-year-old kid is absolutely useless and thick and ugly, then you're getting into... If you say, that's a terrible performance, he's got to get a bit more about him.
I don't see any harm in this.
There's nothing wrong with that.
So, I mean, as former players, we need to be reminded every now and again. It looks very easy sat in the gantry. You know, you can all see the pass sat in the gantry. Only Dennis Bergkamp could see it on the pitch. And we forget the game looks easy. And it's all about development.
Oh, yeah, but the basics.
And there are
pressures.
There are pressures.
No one expects everyone to operate like Pirlo or Dennis Bergkamp. It's about the basics. But people go after people for the basics. When they don't do the basics, they don't apply themselves. They don't do the basic fundamentals that it takes most decent Premier League footballers are capable of doing. That's what they go after. They don't go after people not being able to hit a 60-yard weldy, do they?
But obviously on the inside, if he's saying that on the outside, on the inside, they're obviously a bit cheap.
Hello and welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We've been taking you through what should be another busy day of football. Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology.
How do you get to that conclusion?
That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
Good morning, this is talkSPORT Breakfast, 10 to 7 on Tuesday, February the 10th. I'm Jeff Stelling Ally McCoist is with me. Headlines this Tuesday morning. Eddie Howe says he would step aside if he didn't believe he was the right man for Newcastle United. Of course, they take on Spurs at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium tonight. Pakistan's match against India in the T20 World Cup is now set to go ahead as scheduled on Sunday. The Pakistan government ending its order for a boycott. And after VAR ruled out Ryan Cherky's goal for Man City at Anfield on Sunday, talkSPORT's live football presenter Adrian Durham has slammed the technology, calling it a complete misuse. Take a listen.
I was thoroughly entertained and then thoroughly disappointed and deflated by the decision. I mean, in fact, I'm going to say this about the decision. I think it's the most blatant misuse of VAR we've had yet. Yeah. There's been some mistakes by VAR, but I think this is a misuse of VAR. I'll even accept mistakes from referees. Mistakes do happen, but this is the worst kind of re-refereeing we've had. And Howard Webb promised this wasn't going to happen, and it's just happened yesterday. So the ref on field, we should praise, I think, Craig Pawson initially. He's played the advantage for the first foul, which I think is absolutely fine. He's then used common sense for the second foul. I can't see a problem in awarding the goal. VAR is there to eliminate the howlers. Okay, there was no howler. VAR's not there to enforce the letter of the law. All those going on about the rules. That's not what VAR's for. It's not there to, intricately, enforce the letter of the law. That's not the reason it's there. There are elements of the on-field decisions that were made yesterday by Craig Pawson that you could disagree with. No problem with that at all. That's fine. But there's no howler. So for everyone saying the suspension from the red has an impact, so does the goal difference. So, there's arguments either way. This was a VAR official being busy, very busy, and this is a serious problem that Webb needs to get a grip of, and he hasn't yet.
And for what it's worth, totally agree with Adrian Durham. You know what, Coisty?
Yep.
I'm not going to talk about it. I just had enough of talking about VAR, and I think people have probably had enough of listening to things about VAR as well. So, shall we move on? Because Lydia's back with us.
I'm here to talk. Oh, it's not really good news. I was going to say I'm going to bring some good news, but we are talking about Jack Grealish, who confirmed yesterday. I think we all sort of knew it, that he was going to be out for the season, but he confirmed on Instagram. He said, "I didn't want the season to end like this, but that's football. I know for sure I'll come back fitter and stronger. The support I've had since coming to this unbelievable club has meant the world to me. I'll be backing the lads all the way and doing everything I can to get back as soon as possible." When he made the move to Everton on loan from Manchester City, we all thought, I think it was going to be a career revived. Because I think regardless of what happens now, I do think unless Pep Guardiola leaves Manchester City in the summer, that Jack Grealish's City career is probably over. Ali, just first of all...
Yep.
2 goals, 6 assists in 22 appearances for Everton this season. We all got a little bit excited early on, didn't we, about his performances. How do you think, first of all, this loan move to Everton has gone for Jack Grealish so far?
Oh, I think it's been great. I think it's been a breath of fresh air for Jack and Everton, who incidentally, if they win tonight, go above Liverpool, unless I'm mistaken.
Yeah, no, you're right.
They're having a fantastic season. Jack needed to get back out, playing, enjoying himself, and playing in a way that, the fans love watching Jack. And that was him getting the ball, getting down the left flank, taking people on, getting deliveries in the box, getting on the end of things. Everything that he wasn't doing at Manchester City for whatever reason. I remember going to watch him. It was a game at Brentford. And he was on the pitch at the same time as Phil Foden. And it was actually really sad to watch because Jack was getting the ball and you could see that he was under orders just to keep the ball, keep it going back the way, keep it ticking over. And I don't think that's Jack Grealish. Jack Grealish is getting the ball at his feet, taking people on, committing people, getting deliveries into the box, making things happen. And I think initially he did that at Everton. Obviously he's got an injury now, which is not good. But I just think the move has been a great success for Jack, been a great success for Everton, and I wish him a speedy recovery.
So do you think then that obviously he is still on loan? Technically, he is still a Manchester City player. So what do you feel now happens next with Jack Grealish? Is this a situation where Everton have seen enough from him, especially this first part of the season, to then go and buy him permanently?
Well, you obviously have to monitor the injury as well. Meaning, clearly, I don't think it's a massive one, which is obviously good news. You don't want that, indeed. But I would be absolutely staggered if Jack Grealish's career continues at Manchester City, whether Pep's there or not. I'd be staggered if that was the case. You can rule nothing out, Olivia, but the fact that he's got a taste of back playing, and you just look at Jack, Jeff, I don't know whether you agree, when he's on the pitch recently, he's had a smile on his face.
Yeah, completely. I'm sure that the last thing that Jack will want is to go back to Man City. Yeah. The very last thing that he'll want is to go back to Man City. I'm sure he'll want to stay at Everton and continue to flourish. You know, look, I mean, it's a blow for him, but I mean, he may have European football with Everton next season to look forward to as well. You know, and Everton, in terms of depth of squad, still too thin on the ground for David Moyes, and that is for sure. So I'm sure they'll want to hold on to Jack, and I'm sure he'll want to stay there as well. Yeah, absolutely. You've both mentioned it. Everton can go 6th tonight if they beat Bournemouth at home, which is live on talkSPORT for you this evening. Because Liverpool as well, their game tomorrow evening is so tough away at Sunderland. Sunderland haven't lost at home all season. Do we think, just as a whole, I mean, Jeff, do you think that Everton and Europe is a possibility, like a real possibility for them? It has to be a real possibility. You know, they'll go top 6. And if you look also, they've come through an extremely difficult patch for them in the sense of the African Nations Cup. They lost Stillman Ndiaye, they lost Idrissa Gana Gueye, they've had injuries to Dewsbury Hall, injuries to Jared Branthwaite. They're both back now. Okay, there's still the injury to Jack, but they're looking a lot healthier in terms of numbers now. So they're on a fantastic run. By the way, don't rule out Bournemouth from this one, because it's interesting that since Antoine Semenyo left, they haven't lost a league game. They do this all the time, Bournemouth, don't they? They lose all their best players and they somehow get better. I don't know how it happens. Remarkable. Well, look, I mean, obviously Junior Krupp has been an absolute revelation for them. And then they brought in the boy, Ryan. Who scored a lovely goal on the weekend. He did, and he's a unit as well, you know. So, good game, Everton-Bournemouth, I think. But Everton, definitely in that European picture. Yeah, Ali, I want to ask you, when you look at what David Moyes has achieved, look at the way that West Ham have gone after he left. The job he came in and recently did at Everton when he got them out of trouble comfortably, when under Sean Dyche and Frank Lampard, it was sort of relegation battle after relegation battle. And now he's got them in a position where they could get into Europe this season. And we're still looking at David Moyes and underrating him as a manager, do you think,
I'm not sure, actually. I've never underrated him. Maybe one or two people have, Olivia. But the one thing I would say, the job that he's doing at continuing to do at Everton, I think there's a lot of people come up with even one or two comments at Manchester United Saturday. One or two of the fans I was having a chat with. There's a lot of people now thinking maybe they didn't get long enough at Manchester United. You know,
Olivia, my laptop is going to explode with West Ham fans in a moment, saying, you know, the David Moyes loving goes on and on and on.
Won't West Ham fans love David Moyes? I thought they liked him. I mean, look at what's happened.
No, they didn't like him. Not when they wanted him out.
They didn't like him when he was there, but I'm sure now they'll look back and think, why did we think that? Because look at the way the club has gone.
They were fine when they were winning the Conference League, but after that, you know, it was like a love affair that hit the buffers.
I think, don't they wish they had? Maybe not, because Nuno sort of got them going a little bit, but you think of maybe where West Ham would be if they'd have kept David Moyes instead of letting him go.
Well, we will never know.
We will never know.
Olivia, thanks very much. See you a bit later. Coming up, we'll turn our attention to Spurs and whether the fan base have any faith in Thomas Frank to turn around their current run of form. 03717 22 3344 is the number to call.
everything that we saw from Ruben Amorim, just to demonstrate the difference that Carragher's had. Like Manchester United have already surpassed the points tally from last season with 13 games to go.
Well, exactly. And winning that 4 on the bounce now, and I think we're fifth. The fifth game is actually going to be our hardest game, considering the form of West Ham. I think that will be our biggest test. And I know that we've played City, we've played Arsenal, but I think West Ham are going to be our biggest test.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I mean, I thought today's victory was on some definition actually the best victory. It was the best one. You know, it wasn't relying on emotion. It wasn't about the huge occasion. It wasn't relying upon like the huge noise and the desperation to win of a derby. This was a routine victory. It was another day, another win for Manchester United. And that is what Manchester United need to get back to. Just that standard procedure 2-0 home victory.
If Amorim was in charge today, we would have got beaten. Even with the red card. Even with Tottenham getting the red card, I think we still would have had a very hard game of it.
No, I completely agree. Not only that, if you'd have had Bruno Fernandes playing in some deep role, Kobe Mainoo would have been nowhere near the starting lineup. Amad Diallo would have been playing as a fullback. Sometimes football's a very simple game, and Ruben Amorim is a complete fraud, a complete imposter. He tried to pull the wool over all of our eyes by
being the nice guy.
By pretending that the game was played on a different plane that we could possibly understand. He was he was like suggesting that if you didn't understand his ridiculous tactics, it was because you didn't understand football in the perfect way that he did. Amad Diallo was one of Manchester United's best players the previous.
Monaco, Singapore, Las Vegas. What do they all have in common? Well, they're all F1 street circuits. 20 years ago, the sports only visited 3 a year. From 2026, there'll be 10, despite the actual racing often being worse. So why? Why are there so many street circuits? Cars racing past the Casino Monte Carlo is one of the iconic images in all of sport. But in the last few years, it's been joined in the Street Circuit Club by the dazzling Grand Prix on the Las Vegas Strip, in Miami, Azerbaijan and others. And there's no sign of the trend slowing down. The streets of Madrid have also gotten involved, and there are conversations about Grand Prix in the capitals of Thailand and Rwanda. But fitting them in means we said goodbye to classic circuits like Hockenheim and Imola, angering fans who are still packing out the European tracks like Spa, the Hungaroring and Monza. And these generally produce more wheel-to-wheel action than street circuits too. At Silverstone in 2025, there were a total of 26 on-track overtakes. At Monaco, 4. I'm an F1 enthusiast. Even I struggle with that. But it appears to be a good step. In 2025, there was a record 2.3 million strong viewership for the Monaco Grand Prix in the US alone. Meanwhile, for the British Grand Prix several weeks later, 1.5 million tuned in. So why are we seeing this drive towards street circuits? Well, no prizes for guessing. Money. Formula One demands a fee of between $20 and $60 million for the rights to even hold an event. In total, including sponsorships, it's believed officials in Saudi Arabia pay almost $100 million for their race. The huge fees are possible because of the street track's city centre locations, as people staying at hotels at inflated prices and tourist sites brimming with visitors mean the cities rake the cash back in when the race comes to town. So it makes financial sense for Formula One and the cities, but will it cost the sport in the long run if F1 races are too boring? After all, nothing beats the roar of an F1 car as it flies through the forests of Europe, or mechanics watching a storm coming across the humid Asian countryside. Take that away and, well, you may as well just watch American IndyCar.
Morning to you. Almost 6 minutes past 7 o'clock on Tuesday, February the 10th. This is talkSPORT Breakfast with Arnold Clark's Real Sale. Your last chance to save big on your next car as the sale ends on the 16th of February. I'm Jeff Stelling. Ally McCoist is with me. Coisty, listen to this. We were talking about Jack Grealish.
Yep.
This is Phil from Southampton. City fans, go and make a cup of tea. You won't like this. Grealish was signed because he was popular, not because City needed him. They had Palmer, Rodgers and Foden all there, already gagging for game time. But no, City, being the footballing equivalent of the smelly, snot-nosed kid at school who nobody liked, but whose parents were loaded, just had to have the cool new toy that everyone liked. In this case, the darling of English football following the Euros, with the entire nation and their dog all singing Super Jackie Grealish. It was a popularity purchase so that young, impressionable kids from Norwich, Plymouth and Grimsby would buy Man City shirts with his name on the back. City fans love to know what you think of that. Bit harsh, I think.
I think so.
Yeah.
I would suggest that's a trifle harsh.
Yes, I'd say so too. Now, another abysmal league campaign so far for Tottenham. 6 points off the drop zone. Could be a lot less than that after tonight. And if their poor fortunes continue, they could be heading to the Championship next season.
Tottenham are on their worst run of the season, and that takes some doing.
We are terrible. Desperation time. Desperation measures.
We finished 17th for a reason.
Big win for Spurs at the top of the table in the Championship, beating Birmingham City 3-0.
Spurs are back. Lincoln City 4, Spurs 1. Spurs once again torn apart at the back as they suffer their 5th Championship loss in a row.
Thomas, we're in March and Spurs are now 19th in the Championship. Did you ever imagine your season going this badly?
Nope.
1 win in 10 Premier League games for Spurs now. They've not won at home in the league since December the 6th. Thomas Frank has recorded the lowest win percentage of any Big Six manager. Spurs Big Six. Finished in the top 6 twice in the last 6 seasons.
I know.
In terms of crowds, they certainly are. I think third best attended side in the Premier League, but I don't like the term Big Six. I'm not having a go at Spurs because I'm not sure what it means anymore. You know, Newcastle Big Six now. And who knows?
I know.
Yeah, who knows? Look, their next 5 league games are obviously Newcastle at home. Then they've got Arsenal, then Fulham away, Palace at home. We've seen how resilient Palace are, and Liverpool away. So I look at tonight's game, Coisty, and wonder, Spurs against Newcastle, who needs the win the most?
Oh, Tottenham, just, in my opinion. It's getting to the stage. They better believe they're in a relegation fight. You know, they don't win tonight. You're looking at the bottom of that league, right? We said yesterday we've accepted that Wolves and Burnley are away. West Ham have got a little bit of for them. That's a massive game. It's getting to the stage, all the games are massive. But that game against Manchester United is clearly... oh dear me, from West Ham's point of view, West Ham are at just about the point now, Jeff, they can't make any mistakes at all. Tottenham don't win tonight, you know, and Forest and West Ham get something, you had better believe that they are in a relegation fight. I don't think they'll go down for a minute, right? I don't, because I look at the squad, I look at the underachieving squad. And I think they've got players that are good enough to keep them in a division. Spine of the team. When the spine of the team plays, I think it's good. You know, when it's Van de Ven, they're going to miss Romero. We've discussed Romero. Middle of the park, I think Gallagher's energy in there with Polina, who kept going at the weekend. And I just detect that it wasn't brilliant at the weekend, but I detect an improvement in the form of Xavi Simons. And I think Solanke will score goals that will keep them in the division. Eddie Howe's Newcastle, of course Eddie Howe needs a victory. But all the managers are under pressure, Jeff. But
yeah.
I just think Eddie Howe's got enough in the bank. I really do.
Yeah.
I mean,
I completely agree. Their fixtures are horrific.
Oh, unbelievable.
Absolutely horrific.
Yeah.
Look, let's focus on Spurs now. Let's get the views of a Spurs fan in all of this. Here's the host of the Last Word on Spurs podcast, Ricky Sachs. Morning, Ricky.
Good morning, Ricky.
Good morning, legends. How are you both?
Very good.
mate.
Thanks.
How are you?
Look, I'm not sure which camp you're in regarding Thomas Frank, but could he survive a defeat tonight?
Oh, it's been a crazy season, guys. Crazy season. Look, I think not all of what we've seen this season is Thomas Frank's fault. There's been a lot of moving parts above him. Of course, Daniel Levy moving on, a lot of changes internally. But if we're going to be honest about this, he's just very much struggled to scale up to understanding what it is to be the Tottenham Hotspur head coach. And the results, as you wrote out there before we started, Jeff, they're simply not good enough. And you know what? By the token fact we're even mentioning Tottenham and the word relegation for a second season, that's terrible. That's scary. And I think the standards around Tottenham as a football club seem to have dropped so much. But to answer your question, look, Thomas Frank, you could have sacked him on so many occasions this season. You could have sacked him away at Nottingham Forest. You could have sacked him even after the Arsenal game, if we're being real, after West Ham. Thomas Frank should have been sacked, but it just feels through the course of the season, there's been a lack of planning. There's been a lack of any kind of footballing knowledge on that board to understand the real depths of despair Spurs fans find themselves in. And I mean this with all due respect, I think Thomas Frank's a lovely human being. I think he's a great guy, but I think he's massively out of his depth at a club like Tottenham. And I just think he doesn't understand the fans' language. He doesn't understand what Tottenham are as a football club. And I think, you know, when you come into the job and your first words are, we will lose football matches. Unfortunately, Thomas, I just don't think has understood or recognised the club's DNA. And no one is sitting expecting Tottenham should be winning titles, winning the Champions League, getting into the top four. But at the same time, to keep using phrases like a transitional season, this club finished 17th. Unfortunately, Thomas doesn't seem to have understood the Tottenham playbook. And I totally understand there's been a lot of moving parts around this season, but the league form, as you read out on air only a few seconds ago, is just simply not good enough for a club of Tottenham standards. And yes, we do have a young squad. Yes, there's inexperience in there. But at the same time, this club, this team, this squad should not be 15th in the Premier League.
It's strange looking at Rick. I mean, the similarities to last season are alarming, because I think some of the better performances, I don't know whether you agree or not, I think some of the better performances from Tottenham this year have definitely been in Europe, but the league form is absolutely unacceptable. Ricky, at what point do the Spurs fans say, look, we just can't keep replacing managers? You know, it's been well documented, whether it's Conte, Mourinho, Nuno, Poch, all of them. Poch probably the greatest degree of success. But at what point do the Spurs fans say, you know, we just can't keep changing managers?
We wanted to stick with the manager. We'd love to stick with the manager. I think there's this common perception outside of Tottenham fans that some seem to think that Tottenham fans are entitled. They just want to keep changing the manager every 12, 18 months. Believe me, Tottenham fans want nothing more to get behind a manager, see a vision, see a philosophy, see a structure, see a plan. But unfortunately, despite Ange Postecoglou delivering that trophy and giving us one of the most memorable moments in our recent history, as you are well aware, the league form over Ange's tenure has not been good enough. The league form over, unfortunately, Thomas Frank's tenure has not been good enough. I mean, Tottenham's last 50 league matches, they've produced the club's lowest 50-game points haul since 1913 to 15. That's how far you have to go back to recognise how poor, how terrible Tottenham's league form has been over this last 18, 24 months. And I will repeat this. This is not just all on the managers. There is the hierarchy for me that have failed these managers on numerous occasions in transfer windows. But you mentioned Pochettino there, and I'm sure you're going to ask me about it. You know, the drum is going to be getting louder and louder for him, because the reality is he gets the club, loves the club, believes the club should be aiming for relatively near the top of the league in terms of Premier League and Champions League. And I will make this point. Nobody is saying Tottenham should win the Premier League, win the Champions League, but the standards of this football club are quite simply on the floor. They are on the floor.
Got to stop you there. For what it's worth, I think the finger's being pointed at the wrong man. On the bench at Old Trafford for Spurs at the weekend, a goalkeeper, 2 17-year-olds, an 18-year-old, a 19-year-old, a 20-year-old. Kolomuani, who's not scored a league goal, was on that bench as well. That was the squad. And the sort of people on the board and the directors of football who say we need to spend in the summer, you're wrong. You need to spend in January and not just on Conor Gallagher. That's my sixpence worth for what it is worth. Ricky, thanks very much indeed.
Thanks for your time, Ricky.
Pleasure, legends. Thank you so much for your time as always.
Cheers, Ricky. Don't forget, we're the only place on the radio to hear live commentary of that big game in North London tonight. Tune in to talkSPORT 2 for that. Coming up, we'll turn our attention to Sean Dyche. The Daily Telegraph is writing this morning that he has to beat Wolves tomorrow to save his job. Is that fair? We'll discuss it next.
Legendary retired referee Dermot Gallagher joins us here on the show. How are we, Dermot?
Hi, Majestic. Hi, Al.
Hi, Dermot.
Listen, let's just get your thoughts off that straight off the bat. We don't want to ask you no questions. You're the ref. Tell us what you saw.
I have to say, I get what Alan says, and I think lots and lots of people will say, you know, give the goal. It keeps 11 against 11. It keeps everybody happy. But when you look at it, there's no doubt whatsoever Szoboszlai is fouled, and by Haaland fouling him, he will argue that stopped him clearing the ball off the line. But you go back, the only reason Szoboszlai gets that far back is because he actually hauls Haaland back. That's the first foul. So I don't think I think Craig has tried to play advantage because he thinks it'll be a goal.
Definitely, Dermot. He's played advantage, isn't he?
Yeah, he's played advantage, and bear in mind, Al, that he can always bring that back if it goes wrong. So
but if you go to the second part, right, where Haaland fouls him, right, but the ball's gone in the net. So why didn't he play advantage there as well?
Well, he can't play an advantage for foul on Szoboszlai, can he? Because if the ball's in the net, the game, it's terminated, isn't it? That moves over. But if you actually look, that ball's not in the net when he pulls Szoboszlai back. And the problem there, Al, is that once
don't you think he see that, Dermot? Don't you think he see the...
Hello and welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We've been taking you through what should be another busy day of football. Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology.
How would you get to that conclusion?
That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
Good morning, this is talkSPORT Breakfast at 7:20, Tuesday, February the 10th. I'm Jeff Stelling Ally McCoist is with me. Ricky Sachs, our Spurs fan, has got some reaction here. Ollie Pearce says Spurs fans need a reality check. They say things like clubs like Tottenham and Spurs have never done anything meaningful. They've never had sustained periods of success. So why is their expectation so high? And Stephen Essex said your guest and Spurs fans in general are delusional. Thomas Frank's a good manager. The board need to spend and fans need to accept they're in transition and stop thinking they are better than they are. Thanks, fellas. Now, after City clawed the game back at Anfield over the weekend to keep the gap at the top to just 6 points, you'd think most Arsenal fans would be a bit disappointed that Liverpool hadn't got the job done. So the Gunners would be 9 points clear of Manchester City. But not Martin Keown.
Yeah, because they can now look back, but we're not in a position yet to look back. Man City may look at this and say, well, do you know what, that was a definitive moment for us where we turn things around and it keeps the Premier League alive for the neutral. But it was always alive, Jim. And actually, I think 6 points instead of 9 is healthier because of the narrative, if we are to say, and people are accusing Arsenal of being mentally not strong enough, if they go 9 points clear, then it's theirs to lose again. And we get all of that propaganda that is worked to try and keep this story alive.
Propaganda from who?
Well, that's what I would see it as if I was on the inside. I'm listening. I'm shutting out all the noise.
Yeah.
Get your head down, win your matches.
I love Martin. You I do love Martin. But 6 points clear is better than 9 points clear. I suppose as a Rangers fan, Coisty, Rangers are 3 points off the top. You'd rather they were 6 points off, would you?
Listen. The problem I've got, I kind of know what he means.
Well, explain it, do.
It's actually unexplainable, but I can see where he's coming from. But the fact of the matter is, 6 points is not as good as 9. That's the bottom line. Oh, dear me. I heard it yesterday, Jeff. I was howling with laughter. I was. Oh, dear me.
Brilliant.
Oh.
Look, one thing, that is absolutely right. It is 6 points and not 9. Still Arsenal's to lose.
Yes, of course it is.
I'm not sure about you guys. Personally, I don't see them losing it.
Neither do I. I'm with you.
Right, Olivia's back with us. Hi again, Olivia.
Hello. Yeah, we're going from one end of the table to the other because we're talking about Nottingham Forest because talkSPORT's Alex Crook reported on Saturday, so after Forest went to Leeds and lost that game by 3-1, that if Sean Dyche loses the game tomorrow night, which is a huge game, they host Wolves live on talkSPORT, he will be close to getting the sack. Now, it's interesting because I just think, Ali, that, if teams are down there and they're fighting for their lives, and they decide at this point in the season to make a change, the manager they'd want to bring in is Sean Dyche.
That's where I am. That's exactly where I am with you. I couldn't agree more. The only thing you would say is, and Jeff and I spoke about it yesterday, Olivia, the owner is completely 100% focused on Forest, but I think he's different to a lot of owners in the respect that he'll do what he thinks is right, no matter who it upsets or whoever agrees with him. Now, and with that in mind, you would rule nothing out. But if you're asking me, would it be a sensible move? No, would be the answer to that. I actually think they'll get a result against Wolves anyway, and I think that as you correctly say, I think if you're looking for somebody in a situation that Forest are in, Sean Dyche is kind of the man with the perfect credentials, I think.
Well, it also begs the question, let's say they did sack Sean Dyche. Who are they going to bring in?
Correct.
Well,
correct.
No one realistic, I don't think. Alex Crook also said, they're big admirers of Marco Silva. And I'm thinking, I know he's out of contract in the summer, but by that point, Nottingham Forest could be a championship club. So there's no way Marco Silva's going there, especially given the job he's done with Fulham after their start to the season. It does say, because the Telegraph have written a similar story, Jason Burt and John Percy, they said, obviously, Forest are extremely reluctant to make another managerial change. Obviously, they've sacked Nuno and then sacked Ange after just 39 days.
Yeah.
His record isn't
That's why
great.
you would rule nothing out, Olivia.
Yeah.
That's why you're ruling nothing out.
Yeah.
But I think it'd be crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I agree. And also, look, they were really poor at Leeds on Friday night. Really poor. And defensively in particular, absolutely shocking. But even with that defeat, they've taken 8 points in the last 5 games. A little bit of basic mathematics. If Sean Dyche could achieve that over the course of a season, they would finish with around 56, 57 points, which would be very, very acceptable indeed. So give him time.
Yeah, and I think when you look at the games that he's had as well, since he's been appointed, some of the wins have come in huge games. Liverpool, that was a massive win. They've beaten Spurs, but also they have beaten teams around them. They've already beaten Wolves once. They did beat Leeds. But I think now, obviously, this is where it does get serious. And that result at Ellen Road, it was really, really poor. And also, that's my only worry is that, it's at home as well. With Evangelos Marinakis' track record in doing what he did to Ange 19 minutes after full time against Chelsea back in October, I don't think it would surprise me that even with Sean Dyche's record, if they do lose to Wolves at home or draw,
if they lose against Wolves, I can certainly see it happening. I don't think
you don't think it's the right thing.
Yeah, I don't think it's the right thing. But with Evangelos Marinakis, then I think it's a distinct possibility. But I'm with Coisty. I don't think they'll lose against Wolves. I think they'll win the game.
And also we were just mentioning it there. Well, Jeff mentioned it. We know that Forest are huge admirers of Marco Silva. That's just very unrealistic at this point in time. So if they were to sack Sean Dyche, there's no one really on the top of my head that I can think of that would be available to come in and save Forest from relegation.
Correct. Absolutely. So why would you do it? If you're running a football club, you've got your forward thinking and forward planning, right? Although, and I might be wrong in saying this, I think Marinakis is one of these owners that will just react and do things at the spur of them. I'm not saying he doesn't think about things, but I think he could just make a decision and that's it. There's no changing it. I think he's that kind of owner. I don't disagree. I don't think for a minute that he's got nothing other than Forest's best interests at heart. But he just seems to me a character that is capable of not so much flying off the handle, but if he gets something in his head, you don't think his mind would be changed very, very quickly. So that would be your only concern. But why would you do that if you've not got a plan?
Yeah. Olivia, thanks very much indeed. That's you done for the day.
That's me done for the day.
Have a great day, Olivia.
I'll see you guys next week.
See you next week. Thanks,
Are you Chelsea Leeds? No, you're watching the game?
No, yeah, I'm doing it for TNT Ali. I'm there for Chelsea Leeds, and then I've got City Fulham tomorrow.
Brilliant.
Brilliant.
Enjoy.
Busy week.
Busy
week.
Couple of texts for you. Vin in Horsham says, morning guys, as a Bees fan for over 40 years, I have to say life is good.
Yeah.
We're living in the dream, grateful for where we are and humble. I would hate to be a fan of a club like Tottenham. Delusional expectations. It must be a miserable existence. Seriously, support your team, support your manager, get over yourselves. And Andy in Leicester, I'm not sure I can read. Well, I will. Regarding what Leicester City need, Neil Warnock, get him on and ask him if he would take us till the end of the season. I also believe there's a big protest tonight against John Rudkin, who is less popular than Vladimir Putin. Oh, Andy, that is very harsh indeed. It's 7:29. Coming up, we'll turn our attention to West Ham and whether this team is too good to go down. No, they're not. That's coming next.
On BBC, you've got, I think it was Ellen White, Steph Horton, Nedum Onuora. No offence to Nedum Onuora, nothing against him. I don't know whether he played for England or not. But you're on the main panel for the final for England women. Let's go over to ITV. I'm in the stands with 105 caps. So you've got 2 women. Between us, we've got 290 caps, something ridiculous, right? You turn over to ITV, and it's Ian Wright, Emma Hayes, and Kaz Carney. So out of 6 spots on 2 of the main, you can't watch the game anywhere else. Out of 6 punditry spots, 2 have gone to men. Yeah? Meanwhile, you've got 290, whatever it is, I got sitting in the stands.
Why are there 4 other women being in these positions? And as far as she's concerned, she's not one of them. I would suggest that she's not a very good broadcaster. That might be one of the reasons why. And if you want to learn, I mean, I've had Annie, I don't dislike, I think she's quite an intelligent lady. I mean, she's qualified in law, she's nobody's fool, but some of the things that come out of her mouth are foolish. She came on this show about 2 years ago debating with me the idea that Manchester City concocted a transfer deal between sporting directors to try and get, I think it was Declan Rice, wasn't it? That Pep Guardiola was using his influence to be able to convince Arsenal to pay £100 million for Declan Rice, and it was concocted between the sporting directors. It was preposterous nonsense.
Ever fancied having a beer in the stands while watching your team at the Emirates, or at Anfield, or at Stamford Bridge? Well, this season you actually can. Drinking alcohol in the stands at Premier League games may still be illegal, but the Women's Super League is doing something different, and here's how we got there. Back in the 1980s, football had a serious image problem. The sport was plagued by violence, pitch invasions and beer-fuelled chaos. Then, in 1985, Margaret Thatcher's government stepped in. They introduced the Sporting Events Control of Alcohol Act, banning alcohol in view of the pitch across England and Wales. Since then, many fans and clubs have called for the law to be relaxed. But despite attempts to change things over the years, authorities just haven't been convinced fans can be trusted. But in January 2025, something did change. The Women's Championship, now called the WSL2, launched a trial allowing fans to drink in the stands. The reasoning? Well, fans at women's matches tend to behave differently. Less aggression, more family-friendly vibes. As a result, select WSL and WSL2 stadiums are now allowing fans to drink alcohol in view of the pitch. It's been a landmark move showing growing trust in fans and recognising that women's football is building its own culture. So could the men's game be the next to leave the 1980s behind? Well, maybe, if fans can prove they can handle a pint without pitching it at someone. Yeah, don't hold your breath. Until then, it's Bovril all around. Cheers to that.
Good morning, this is talkSPORT Breakfast with me, Jeff Stelling Ally McCoist and Arnold Clark. The UK's biggest used car sale is ending soon, so check it out now. I'm on my second cup of coffee, so I'm feeling pretty sharp at the moment. Need one more, don't I, at least before the end of the morning. Becky's texted, she said, can we please not paint all Spurs fans with a delusional brush? She said, I backed Ange, I backed Thomas Frank, especially as practically a full squad out injured, including some key players. I also think we should be aiming and happy with mid-table while we rebuild. I will say the board definitely didn't help Thomas by not strengthening in January, bar Conor Gallagher. Thank you very much indeed for that, Becky. And now, the former Lioness turned pundit, Eni Aluko, has made quite a storm in the news over the past few days, well, past few months, actually. She's been taking issue with coverage of the women's game. Here's talkSPORT's Nick Ellaby to give us more.
Last April, Eni Aluko told Radio 4's Women's Hour Ian Wright was blocking female pundits from working in the women's game.
I still feel like there is a double standard where there is still a limited amount of opportunities for women, female broadcasters, both in the men's and the women's game. We're still competing for 2 or 3 seats maximum.
Aluko later apologised to Wright, which he couldn't accept. The row flared up again last week, with Aluko questioning why Neda Manuha covered the Women's Euros final on ITV, with her and 172-cap Farrah Williams sitting in the stands. That prompted Laura Woods to say caps don't mean automatic work, and she hinted Aluko isn't really rated as a pundit. Aluko then released a statement saying no one ever said I wasn't good enough. Well, here's Simon Jordan's take.
Her main issue is that she doesn't get things because of her colour, and she doesn't get things because of her sex. And none of it to do with the fact that she doesn't get things because she's not a particularly good broadcaster.
In your view?
In my view.
Eni Aluko is coming on White and Jordan today. Don't miss it. The boys are on from 10 a.m.
And Nick Ellaby there. Tune in to White and Jordan right after us. Eni Aluko will be live in the studio. Got a text here from, it's an anonymous one actually. Morning guys, love the show. Looking forward to seeing you in Inverness tomorrow night. Jeff, can you bring my hero Ali with you? I think you're otherwise engaged tomorrow night, aren't you, Coisty?
Sunderland tomorrow night, sadly, Jeff.
Yeah.
When are you heading up here?
2 o'clock flight today. Glasgow, Paisley tonight.
Correct.
Inverness tomorrow, Aberdeen Thursday. You know what? The weather forecast says it's going to snow on Wednesday, Thursday and Friday.
Jeff, wait a minute. I'm surprised that you look surprised. That's what, come on. You know where you're coming to. Just bring your gloves and your hat, your tammy and your scarf. You'll be fine.
It doesn't snow in leafy Hampshire. Yeah, I'm not used to it. You know.
The good news is you've not got far to go when you go off that plane at Glasgow Airport. Paisley's just right next door.
Yeah, no, fantastic. Look, I'm really looking forward to it. Come along and see us guys in Scotland if you possibly can.
You've got to do it.
Absolutely.
That'll be great.
Look, let's turn our attention back to the football tonight. West Ham Man United live on talkSPORT tonight. West Ham 3 points off the drop after 3 wins in their last 4. So, can they survive? Looked pretty unlikely, didn't it, just a few games ago? Let's speak to a man who was part of the 2003 West Ham team. Yes, the one that got relegated. Good morning to Scott Minto. Morning, Scott.
Scott, yeah, good morning for you. Welcome to the show, mate.
Jeff, you've introduced me many times. That's the worst possible intro.
I got to tell you, Scott, I hadn't seen it until the words came out of my mouth. So I apologise for the person who was insensitive enough to write that. However, insensitive, but spot on.
Absolutely.
Scott, I've got it in front of me, mate. I've got it in front of me, and I'm saying to myself, he's not going to read this, surely.
Brilliant. Hey, but Scott, look.
I'm not saying he's Anchorman by any chance, Ali, are we?
Scott, I mean, West Ham have got some momentum. So have Manchester United, of course. But West Ham have got some momentum. Have you got renewed hope that they will survive?
Yeah, can I just add some of those players that were part of that 2002-3 squad with Paolo Di Canio, Jermaine Defoe, Trev Sinclair, David James, Joey Cole, and one Mickey Carrick as well. So he's going back to West Ham. We were a squad that was thought of that would finish 6th. But you're right, and I think it's probably the ultimate, because we won 42 points and still went down, and it's the record at the moment. It's the ultimate, you're never too good to go down. So I look at this West Ham squad now, and look, it hasn't got the individual players. And I was really worried after the Wolves, very worried after that Wolves game, but even so after the Forest game, despite the performance being a lot better. But what I saw was that win at Spurs really galvanised them. A very good victory against Sunderland. I was at Stamford Bridge where first half they completely outplayed Chelsea, and then the big guns came on and they couldn't quite hold out. And then a really good, solid, professional victory against Burnley. So in answer to your question, if you'd have asked me a month ago, I'd have said no. I genuinely think West Ham are down. Now, I genuinely believe they can stay up.
I'm looking at it, Scott. I've seen them a few times. I'm there tonight, which I'm looking forward to. Saw them against Sunderland. I mean, Wan-Bissaka, one of the performances, one of the best fullback performances I've seen in a long, long time. However, I think the key areas, I know that Castellano scored at the weekend, but I think in wide areas, Somerville and Bowen have been, Somerville in particular, because Bowen's consistent, really consistent, but Somerville's form has been terrific, mate.
Absolutely, and Somerville in particular has really stepped up to the plate. I mean, he is playing as good as Jared Bowen has over the last few years, but only over the last few games. So please, a little bit more consistency with that. I totally agree with you about Tati Castellanos and Pablo Felipe. Of course, didn't play Pablo Felipe in the last game with Callum Wilson starting. But what I do think, and I've said this before, when you're down there, you know, training can be really hard on a day-to-day basis. It's difficult to try and be happy and confident when you're losing week in, week out in the match days. But they've come in, and it looks like, despite, I'm not quite sure they're going to be, you know, West Ham heroes or legends or great Premier League players. But I think what they have done in the short term is added this kind of this non-scarring of what's happened of the last 6, 12, 18 months. They're coming in, they're fresh, and they look as if they're, one, ready to run about, two, look as if they can try and make a difference, as Tati Castellanos has, and three, just on a daily basis, when you've got this sort of fresh energy, it's infectious, and it goes on to the other players. And I think we're seeing other players playing a lot better than they were just a month or two ago.
Yeah, no question. You know, they've got some support for Jared Bowen at last, which helps. Look, they've got difficult fixtures to come. Liverpool and Villa away and City at home, all within the next 5. So this is a massive game. But if they were to win, level on points with Forest, but also in touch with Leeds, with Spurs, even with Brighton, a lot of sides above them would probably written West Ham off. You are going to get twitchy.
I couldn't agree more, Jeff. And you're right. If you look at the table, look, do I think Spurs will go down? No, I don't. But they're 6 points above West Ham at the moment. And I'm at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium tonight. Look, it's a team that's not very good at home, but they are against a team that's not very good away. So it's a difficult one to call. But we know that Newcastle on their day are a very good side. So if Spurs were to lose that one and West Ham were to beat, you have to say, a resurgent Manchester United, there would be only 3 points the difference. So you can't say that Spurs at this moment in time are not in a relegation battle. So I just think, I think the way Man U are playing at the moment under Mickey is almost you're meeting them at the wrong time. So I'd take a point for West Ham right now and then move on and move forward. But every point when you're down there counts. We went going back to 2003. We went down on goal difference. So trust me, every point counts.
Scott, just a quick one. What we're thinking about Chelsea, Liam Rossini. Good start, couple of defeats obviously to Arsenal in the cup competitions, but you've got to be delighted with the start.
Ali, they've beaten every team bar what you could argue the best team in Europe. Yeah, you know, and they've played them home and away. And if you remember that first leg, I think Rob Sanchez has done well, but he made 2 mistakes in that particular game. So I was at Wolves. I thought they started a bit lethargic at Molineux on Saturday, but then they just stepped up. And look, Cole Palmer took the headlines for the hat-trick, but Joao Pedro, I think, has been excellent in recent weeks. Pedro Neto has been superb since he's really gone to the club. Enzo Fernandez was kind of playing in a left-hand role to put Cole Palmer still as the number 10. He's been brilliant as well. And they're looking a lot more solid defensively. So, look, the game was won by half-time, really, so I'm not surprised Wolves came a little bit back into it. But absolutely, Leeds, I think it's Burnley after that. Got to win those 2 games, and then who knows what can happen.
Gribbo's a Charlton fan. He said, have a quick word with Scotty about Charlton, please, Jeff. We are his first love, after all. They've done okay.
Yeah, and he's not wrong. They are my first love. I look at it, and obviously the Stoke game is going to be massive. Look, Charlton started so well with the season, and when they were in 6th, I was asked whether playoffs is possible. I said no, just pick up the amount of points, just to make sure it's still all about survival just after what's happened in the last 6 or 7 seasons.
Yeah, just stay up. That's all it's about.
That's done great.
Scotty, thanks very much indeed.
Enjoy the football tonight, Scotty.
Yeah, enjoy it, mate. West Ham fans and Leeds fans, if you look ahead, last game of the season, West Ham v Leeds. Could be interesting, couldn't it?
Oh, dear.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, it is, 7:45. Still to come on breakfast.
Superstar Breakfast preview on talkSPORT with Travis Perkins. Doing what matters for the trade. Find your local branch at travisperkins.co.uk.
very shortly, we'll be joined by a man who used to do this.
Shelby will go for it! John Joe Shelby!
Yeah, former Liverpool, Newcastle and England midfield maestro John Joe Shelby will be with us very shortly. And after Borough went top of the Championship last night, who better to have on than our old friend and Borough fan, Chris Kamara. He'll be on after 9. That was our breakfast preview with Travis Perkins Hire.
Superstar Breakfast preview on talkSPORT with Travis Perkins. Bricks on bricks on bricks. Over 40 million available to order with delivery to site. That's one less thing to worry about.
There's so many twists and turns in this. When you've been on this road, right? Now, look, there are certain people who were at that game yesterday, former Manchester United players who've won this thing many, many times. I've won it as well. And you have to shut out the noise. It's about what you do, not what the opposition do. And, of course, it would have been handy if it had gone 9 points clear. But the fact that it didn't happen, Arsenal are not derailed by that. Arsenal, I actually saw a lot from Arsenal at the weekend that makes me think, actually, do you know what? They could go the distance. But this is the life. When you're trying to lead, when you're trying to be a prospective champion, Jim, there are twists and turns. You stay calm and you stay confident and you go to the next game. Arsenal play Brentford now. Now, for those people, the neutrals that were, I mean, by the way, Sunderland gave everything at the weekend. So nobody was like, it wasn't an easy gimme for Arsenal. Brentford now is another very difficult game for Arsenal.
Of course,
as it would have been if they would have been 9 points
They're
clear.
all difficult games. We know that. Psychologically, might this be bigger for Manchester City, though, Simon, than it is for Arsenal?
Well, I don't think it has anything to do with Arsenal. Arsenal don't need to worry about what Man City are doing. The only time Arsenal need to worry about what Man City is doing is when they're playing them. Arsenal are in control of their own destiny.
You don't think Arsenal players watched that game yesterday at Anfield?
They might do.
Of course they did.
But again, you're asking me what I think, not what they think. What I think is that Arsenal's only concern is what they do. Man, they can't control what Man City do. If Man City go and beat teams 10-0 or lose 10-0, it's got nothing to do with Arsenal. If Arsenal win the games, Man City have got to get 3 better results out of the next 15 games. So 25 to 20% of the games, Man City have got to get better outcomes than Arsenal. And nothing about Arsenal's current form. And in fact, when they went up to Leeds and bashed the Leeds side that most people are struggling with in recent times, it gives you an indication that Arsenal are in very good form. Man City are not a Premier League winning side. How many of those players in that side have actually won the Premier League? This isn't the same Man City. The only thing that's the same is the coach. And we've seen this team getting beat by teams like...
Hello and welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We've been taking you through what should be another busy day of football.
Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology.
How would you get to that conclusion?
That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
Morning, this is talkSPORT Breakfast, 7:50, Tuesday, February the 10th. I'm Jeff Stelling Ally McCoist is with me. Mike's texted me to say, to remind me, John Joe Shelby also played for Swansea in the Premier League as well. And I've got another text here saying, hope Martin Keown isn't up for a new contract at talkSPORT. We can give you a 9% wage rise, Martin. No thanks, guys. I'll take a 6% wage rise. Keeps me on my toes.
Who wrote that? And that's great.
He hasn't put a name on it.
Very good.
Anyway, but it's fantasy. There's no chance of Martin getting a pay rise. There's no chance of any of us getting a pay rise, is there? Let's be brutally honest about it. Headlines this Tuesday morning. Sandra Tonali reportedly would be keen on a return to Italy. The Newcastle midfielder set to be at the centre of a summer transfer war. Manchester United, Arsenal and Man City apparently all monitoring his availability. Jack Grealish has undergone surgery on a foot stress fracture, which will rule him out for the rest of the season. And Liam Rosenior could help Chelsea tighten their grip on a Champions League place tonight. They face Leeds in the Premier League. One of 4 games on the talkSPORT network tonight in what would be his 8th win from 10.
It's always nice when players speak well of you. Most of the time they just want to stay in the team. So I take it with a smile. I think you can see whether it's Cole or Zhao or Enzo or Moy, all of them, Andre, the defenders, they're playing with a real enthusiasm at the moment. They're enjoying their football. And as a coach, that's very pleasing to see, because if you don't play with enthusiasm, you don't play with energy or intensity. So at the moment, things are looking good. We have to continue. The demands have gone up. It's going to be a physical game tomorrow, but the signs are looking really, really good for what we want to achieve together.
Of course, a lot of Chelsea fans, I think, were a bit cynical, a bit sceptical when Liam Rosenior was appointed. Do you think he's won them over?
I think he's winning them over. I'm not sure he's won them over yet, but you cannot argue with the results, Jeff. They've been great. I mean, and as Scott was saying earlier on, there are 2 defeats against maybe the best side in Europe at this moment in time. So no, I think the results have been really, really good. I think they've been really solid. It's like anything else, just going to have to keep it going. But I think he's did an absolutely terrific start.
Yeah. Paul, the Sunderland fan, by the way, says, Ali, any requests for half-time snacks tomorrow night?
Oh, yes, please. Lovely. I can't wait to get back up there. I'm really looking forward to it. I've got to say, my 2 games coming up, Jeff, West Ham, Man United, and back up at the stadium. Can't wait to go up to see the guys tomorrow.
I've promised Bianca some Scottish food when we're up there.
Do you know what? I'm gutted. I'm gutted.
Square sausage, mate.
Oh, you've got to get square sausage, mate. Sausage. Absolutely. Yeah. Give her a rolling square sausage with brown sauce. you can't go wrong, mate. I'm telling you. You just cannot go wrong.
Love it. Well, talking to Scotland, it's not just the Premier League in action tonight. Massive game in Scotland, isn't there? The Edinburgh Derby, top of the table, Hearts face Hibs. They would love to spoil Hearts' title push, that is for sure. Let's speak to somebody who is well known amongst many other things for scoring in the Edinburgh derbies. The Hammer of Hibs, who was nicknamed for his whopping 27 derby goals. 27.
Yes.
Legendary Hearts striker John Robertson. Morning, John.
Morning, Robbo.
Morning, Jeff. Ali, how are you?
Top form, pal. How are you?
Good.
Yeah, superb, mate. Superb. Ali, you got to know, square sausage, it's got to be a double done. You got to have 2 bits of square sausage with a brown sauce, not the one.
Sorry, Robbo, what's it called?
It's square sausage, a double done, two pieces of square sausage on the roll.
A double done. Right, two pieces of square sausage.
Absolutely, me man, no doubt about it.
Okay, and it's brown sauce, is it?
Got to be.
All the way, all the way.
Okay, got that. We're coming, we're on our way. Look, Hearts still find themselves in a great position, don't they? 3 clear of Rangers, 6 clear of Celtic, although Celtic have got a game in hand. I know they've not lost at home all season long, but there is so much pressure on them. They can't even afford a draw in games like this, can they? It's must win, must win, must win.
It's a derby, first and foremost, Jeff. That's the big thing. No Hearts fan or Hibs fan's going to accept a draw. They want to win the game. They've had 1 win apiece. The first game, Hearts nicked it in the last minute, and then Hibs for 65 minutes gave Hearts a bit of a doing, and then they were hanging on in the end. It took an unbelievable save in the 6-minute injury time to stop Hearts nicking a point. So You know, Hearts fans are still hurting with that one, and they'll go tonight, you know, want to keep the foot on the pedal. They want to keep the pressure. Rangers face a very, very tricky match tomorrow at Motherwell, who have been magnificent this season. So it's a real tough run of games because, you know, Hearts have Rangers up after Hibs, then they have a Falkirk who are flying, then it's Aberdeen. Rangers have Motherwell, they have Hearts, they have Celtic coming up. So, you know, it's great. It's great we're talking about another team in a title push, and Hearts are going to be right in there.
Rob will tell me, I think Hearts have been excellent. Derek's going to play. I mean, some of the results and performances have been great. They look as though, mate, one or two wee issues with disciplinary problems. I think they've had 3 men sent off in the last 4 or 5 games, and you can't keep doing that, mate. But also, they've had injuries to key players, Devlin and Shanklin. And in particular, I think the best front two that I've seen this season in Scotland would be Shanklin and Claudio Braga, who has been an absolutely terrific signing, Paul.
They have, Ali. That's the thing, that a lot of these players are unknown. You know, they talk about the Jamestown analytics up here, which is huge. You know, Tony Bloom's coming from Brighton, and I think he said something like, you know, a lot of Scottish fans, you know yourself, Ali, they look at it and think, nah, you'll never get to Rangers and Celtic. And he said, no, within 5 years, Hearts can win the league.
Yeah.
And they're way ahead of schedule. This year's a real bonus. Braga's been brilliant. Kirizidis has been magnificent on the wing.
He has.
But they've got... This is the one thing, Ali, that the Old Firm are going to have to be aware of, is that Hearts do have strength and depth. They've got players to come in. They paid over £1 million for Agu, the midfield player.
Yep.
Chesnikov's come in. The big new striker, Mato, Big Tom, as he's going to be nicknamed, I think. He's in. He's looking the part. Kabori's come in. So Magnuson midfield. So it's massive that we've lost Lawrence. Shanklin's huge for us, and it's difficult that he won't be involved. But there's more than enough strength and depth. There's more than enough quality to hang in there. And you know, people have asked about it. I think it's a wee bit like golf tournaments. We're into the third round now, the moving round, where they've hung in a few, and if they can get to the split within a couple of points, they have a real opportunity, because you know what it's like, Ali. Rangers and Celtic will be keeping an eye on each other, and Hearts could just slip in over the line in front of them.
Which, I mean, a lot of neutrals would absolutely love that it to happen. Look, I mean, Hibs have had a decent season as well, haven't they, Robbo? Just signs of a little wobble, I thought, though recently, and they needed a couple of very, very late goals to beat Dundee United last time out. I guess, though, in a derby, the form book just goes out of the window, does it?
Listen, it's an old saying. It's not right now for Hearts, and you know, there's a lot of clubs all over the country. In England, you hear people talking about, the performance wasn't great. It's not. Ali's a multiple league winner with Rangers. Right now, it's not about your performance. It's about points. Hearts fans won't care. The last derby at Tynecastle wasn't a great match, and Hearts scored a great goal in the 93rd minute, and Halkett scored to make it 1-0. Yep. They'll sell for that all the way to the end of the season. Don't you kid yourself. Scrappy wins, late goals, it's just getting points. It's as simple as that. Derek's managed them superbly well. Ali's right, you're right there. The discipline thing will have to be looked at. I thought Swallow was a wee bit unfortunate against part of the goalkeeper, but the Beningame challenge and Halkett had to go, and it caught up with them at Paisley. It's not a happy hunting ground for Hearts, and it looked like they were going to hold on for what could have been a vital point. They didn't. So, as I say, it's a big week. Derby game tonight. They travel through to Ibrox. Rangers are flying at the moment. They're scoring goals for fun. Celtic still unconvincing. So it's all there, but you can bet your bottom dollar there's 4,500 Hibs fans travelling across the city tonight to make sure that they stick a spanner in the works. And it's going to be a brilliant atmosphere. It's going to be a brilliant game again. And if there's one thing the Hibs fans will travel across, and David Gray, they'll want to stop Hearts. It's as simple as that. It's straightforward. Every neutral in Scotland would like to see the Old Firm dominance broken, apart from our friends in Leith.
Looking forward to it, John. Thanks, mate.
Great to see you, wee man. Take care.
No problem. You too, Ali. Take care, Jeff.
See you soon, Paul.
Cheers. Thanks, John. Constantly, very quickly, you've got to help me out with this, because we're already late. Now, I've got a message from Phil, and it's written in a foreign language. He said, sort Jeff out with some proper Scottish food. Quick translation. Cullen Cullen skink.
Cullen, you must have heard of Cullen skink. Cullen skink's a fish soup. It's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Wonderful. Wonderful.
Cranachan? Cranacan?
Spell it.
Cranachan.
You beat me with that one.
Whoa. Phil, you'll have to text us and tell us what it is. And a king rib supper.
Oh, a king rib supper. Right, you can't go wrong with king rib supper. You get that at the chippy. That wouldn't be my number one choice. I'm a basic fish and chip man, but you can get a king rib at the chippy. Yeah.
Right.
But you must have heard of Cullen. You must have had Cullen skink, no?
No.
Oh, it's lovely. It's a soup. It's really nice.
But is it what we just call it fish soup?
Well, yeah, effectively it is. We've just got far more attractive language around it.
Brilliant. Thanks, mate. Coming up, we're joined by a man who played over 200 times for Newcastle ahead of the huge game against Spurs tonight. It's live on talkSPORT 2. John Joe Shelby's with us next. If we look at the bottom of the table, we're looking at one spot. Do you believe that everybody up to and including Tottenham are in it?
Oh, without doubt. Absolutely. I would even take a step further and say Brighton and Palace will be all right, but I think they need a couple of victories, and the sooner they get them, the better. I thought that was a big result for Palace.
Yeah, Darren, who's a Palace fan, has texted this, and morning, gents. As a Palace fan, I got to say, I really don't think we're in this anymore. Sarr's come back from the Cup of Nations. Muniz has come back from injury.
Yes.
We signed a couple of quality players. Darren, I agree with you. I think Palace are safe-ish now.
That's where I am. Exactly. That's the word I would use for those two, Brighton and Palace. As I say, brilliant result for Palace at the weekend. Really important. 3 points. Tottenham
you would say Tottenham 6 points clear of West Ham. On the face of it, that's a nice cushion. But 4 games ago, they were 13 points clear of West Ham.
Mate, I'm watching that game, and I think the skipper should hang his head in shame, by the way, for his red card. I really do. And I can't believe, I just can't believe it's split. I mean, obviously decisions, it's all about opinions. I get all that, Jeff. The one thing I would say, every ex-professional football player that I have spoken to say it's a red card, because he knows what he's doing, Jeff.
Oh yeah,
he knows exactly what he's doing, and anybody that's played a game at any level, anybody who watches the game knows that he does not need to follow through. Right, he's got to go in for the tackle. He's got to attempt to win the ball, which he does, and then he just follows through and has a piece of the player that he's tackling. Madness, and at that point. Because Tottenham weren't playing that badly at that point, to tell you the gospel truth. But at that point, it just killed their chances, I felt. So, and the interesting thing is, and I couldn't believe this, and I was just reading it, Tottenham are now sitting 1.1.
Over the years, we've been treated to some amazing exhibition events in sports. Some become iconic, but many fail to live up to the hype. So what are some of the most anticlimactic exhibitions? Technically, it wasn't an exhibition because it ended up being sanctioned as a pro fight, but it basically was. 2024 saw Mike Tyson return to the ring to fight YouTuber Jake Paul. The event, which Paul won, was streamed by 65 million people on Netflix, making it the most streamed sporting event ever at the time. But many complained of buffering and freezing. And as for the fight itself, well, it was considered an entertaining disaster. I mean, It wasn't prime Tyson. He was 58. And after the fight, Paul, who was 27 at the time, said he'd actually gone easy on Tyson towards the end. Now, Mayweather-McGregor in 2017 was a better watch, despite Mayweather going rope-a-dope early on, but it was way too expensive. Pay-per-view was 75 quid, and in the stadium, the cheapest ticket was over 370. Now, this next one you could have watched for free, only because the pay-per-view had streaming issues, so they had to open it out. I'm talking about Tiger versus Phil in 2018, which was nicknamed The Match. Massive names and massive rivals going head-to-head. On paper, it worked. In reality, it didn't. The two players were mic'd up, so we all thought we'll get fascinating insight. We'll be able to hear them insult each other for 18 holes. But what we actually got was more heavy breathing and sniffles. And for two GOATs, the golf itself was bang average. And speaking of GOATs, let's end with Messi and Ronaldo. In 2023, an exhibition between PSG and the Riyadh All-Star 11 saw them share a pitch for possibly the final time. To be fair, it was a goal fest, which PSG won 5-4, and Messi and Ronaldo both scored. But it was obvious they were past their prime. El Clasico, this was not. And with it being in Saudi, there were more sports washing claims. So there you have it, exhibitions that have let us down. And I didn't even have time to mention the Community Shield.
Good morning, this is talkSPORT Breakfast with me, Jeff Stelling Ally McCoist, and Arnold Clark's Real Sale. It's your last chance to save big on your next car. The sale ends on the 16th of February. Jake has texted, think my radio's playing up again. I'm trying to get talkSPORT, but I've apparently tuned into Scottish MasterChef. What on earth is a Cullen skunk? Thank you. Thank you very much indeed, Jake. Right now, it's time to welcome this man.
Around the wall and in! John Joe Shelby gives Newcastle hope of salvation.
And Liverpool Football Club, the most successful club in the history of the competition, have added win number 8 in the League Cup.
Shoots into the far corner and scores. A brilliant goal from John Joe Shelby from 20 yards out to put Newcastle in front at Anfield.
I can't speak highly enough of him and my interactions with him. He was huge in us staying in the division. He was the focal point of the team, really.
Rolls into Shelby at the edge of the area, thinks about a drive, dummies in, and his second shot goes in.
And the referee is pulling Shelby away. John Joe Shelby has got a red card.
Well, that's just what he wants to hear, isn't it, as we welcome him to the show. John Joe Shelby getting a red card. But I remember him as a League Cup winner, former Liverpool, Newcastle, Swansea and England midfielder, who scored a load of long-range screamers of goals as well. John Joe, good morning to you.
Morning, John Joe.
Good morning, chaps. How are you?
Yeah, good,
thanks,
mate.
Good
mate.
for him.
Hey, let's touch on you first of all, shall we? The Arabian Falcons in Dubai, second division out there. What's the sort of standard like?
It's very physical. A lot of Africans playing in the league, and quite a few locals. There's not many English, but yeah, I'd say it's physical rather than more quality.
Yeah.
But every game's a battle.
How did you end up there, mate? What made you go down that road?
My pal, really. He's the manager of our team. He just sort of got in touch with me, and I flew out, had a meeting with him and a few other clubs out here, and sort of liked what they had to say, and I realised that there's quite a few opportunities away from the field as well out here. So yeah, it was something that I sort of just went for, and there wasn't many offers back home. Nothing that really interested me. So being away from home and something where my kids could go as well, it made sense.
Yeah. Are you enjoying it, John Joe, or do you miss not playing in England?
No, I'd not played in England for a long time, so I sort of come to terms with the fact that I was never ever going to get back to that sort of level. So it was more of a case of just enjoying my football and playing with a smile on my face, and I'm lucky that I found a club that has allowed me to do so.
There's a lot to be said for that, mate. I can tell you. And you're saying they're playing with a smile on your face and enjoying it. And you have been. You've left English football for a while. What would you say the big differences are outside England that you're experiencing, or you have experienced?
Obviously, I went to Turkey. Turkey's very much like up to 60 minutes is very tactical, but then it just becomes a basketball game. Out here, it just starts like a basketball game straight away.
Yeah,
which probably don't suit me because I don't really like to run. I just stand in the middle of the pitch and try and play. But yeah, I'd say the level of professionalism probably in terms of in England, everything's laid out for you. I mean, here you're washing your own kit. I mean, me and the coaching staff here, we travel up. I have my pre-match in the car to games, and we have to buy all the water bottles, the fruit for the lads, and I buy all the tape for the lads and everything like that. So it's very different.
Brilliant. Look, I'm getting battered by some Charlton fans for not mentioning that you played for them as well, so I will. Look, when you look back at what's happening at Newcastle, if we start with them, John Joe, you know, I saw Eddie Howe yesterday saying if I didn't think I was the correct man to take this team forward, I would step aside. Are you surprised that he's even being asked questions about his future?
I am and I'm not, because in today's football, it's just like, it's so cutthroat that people forget what he's done straight away. I think there's not much loyalty in football nowadays. Managers are not given time, but for me, he shouldn't be. Like, I see things online where he's being harshly criticised and saying that he shouldn't be in the job, which I think is totally wrong, because less than a year ago he won the club's first ever trophy in God knows how long. So I think it's very harsh.
I mean, you talk about the support, John Joe, obviously Liverpool fans, incredible, and Newcastle, absolutely amazing support. I think the vast majority of Newcastle fans are realistic enough to know and look at the situation regarding Eddie Howe and say, look, where we've been. A lot of them will remember where they've been, right? Where they were 10 years ago with previous owners and things like that. And I'm of the opinion he will be given time, he should be given time, and I think the majority of Newcastle fans, you know, will look back and say, do you know something? We're not in a bad place.
Yeah, 100%. I think they need to. As you said, like you think of Man City when they took over, in terms of it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time to build a successful club, and Newcastle down in the dumps for a very long time, and it's slowly starting to turn. I mean, they've had Champions League football 2 or 3 times in the past 4 years, so it is starting to slowly happen. But I think fans just need to realise it does take time.
A lot of reports saying that Sandro Tonali wants to be off to pastures new. Could he get him a game at the Arabian Falcons?
I don't think we could pay his wages, to be honest.
John Joe, look, I know you're going to stay with us, so don't go anywhere. John Joe will be back for another section very shortly. Stay tuned to talkSPORT Breakfast this morning.
I'm all for the hard yards, and I don't think getting rid of Aubameyang was the same comparison because Arsenal didn't miss him and didn't lose anything as a result.
They did. That season he went to Barcelona and scored a hatful of goals. They made the Champions League. Arsenal didn't win the Champions League, but their future was to be a better one.
Everybody knew
there has to be a sacrifice
everybody
here.
That sat in the studio, and me and Jim being included, forecast that Aubameyang would lift the leg when he went to Barcelona. We all knew it because he'd go and do it in spurts. What he was doing was creating a polluted environment inside the dressing room that was relatively solidified in certain ways of a new manager.
Impressionable young players.
This is a different dressing room. Now, I don't disagree. The harder yards are that you take control of a situation. So let's get it right. Arteta was being supported by his board. He was supported by his board in the Aubameyang decision. You've got a group of people that didn't employ Thomas Frank, that are not entirely sure about Thomas Frank's future. So he's going to go to them and say, the player that you just signed a 4-year contract on, that we've made captain, I'm going to jettison him.
You're suggesting that, son. You wholeheartedly, they gave Thomas Frank the job.
No, they didn't.
Well, why not? How are you saying this? Do you have inside information that we don't have then?
Yes, I do. Because Daniel Levy and self-evident information.
He's not there anymore, is he? So what's he going to do?
So my point don't be so bloody stupid then. Daniel Levy's not there, and neither is Paratici. They were the two.
So he's exposed now because he's gone.
Yes, I do. I think he's absolutely got no allies there.
Well, maybe he's better off without him.
Well, that's a different argument.
Because maybe that person was also detrimental long-term to the club.
Which argument do you want me to respond to?
Well, if you want to look at everything, the money that Spurs have made and how valuable they are, and the shares that are actually Daniel Levy's shares, by the way.
What's that got to do?
Were those decisions made for Daniel Levy's shares to become even more valuable?
Right, so all of that has...
Or was it for the team on the pitch?
All of that has nothing to do with Christian Romero, right? So let's go to the...
Hello and welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We've been taking you through what should be another busy day of football.
Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology.
How would you get to that conclusion?
That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
Good morning, 8:19, Tuesday, February the 10th. This is talkSPORT Breakfast with me, Jeff Stelling Ally McCoist, and we're in the company of the former England, Newcastle, Liverpool, Charlton and Swansea midfielder John Joe Shelby. Coral coming along at 8:30 today. Mick, by the way, has texted and said it's more media than fans being negative about Eddie. And as for the Boo Boys, they need to give their head a shake. They probably weren't there when we were really bad. Not the word he uses, but yeah, thank you very much indeed for that, Mick. I mean, look, we say it's more the media. They were booed off. Let's be honest, they were booed off. It's clear for everyone to hear in the game against Brentford at the weekend. But I do completely take your point, Mick. So, John Joe, I mean, when I look at the Newcastle side at the moment, it's the forwards are finding it hard to score the goals at the moment. So a good job that Bruno Guimaraes has weighed in with, 9 Premier League goals this season. As a midfielder yourself, what's your assessment of how important he is to the side?
He's vitally important. I mean, you've seen the last three games when he wasn't involved. They've really struggled to take a foothold in the game. He sort of grabs the game by the scruff of the neck, and he weighs in with some important goals as well. So, yeah, he's vitally missed, and the fans love him there. He was given the armband for a reason. So, yeah, but they're just glad that he's back now.
They're definitely a bit far better team, John Joe, when he plays. And I want to ask you, forward there, they have made a couple of signings. and you could argue that neither of them have really got going just yet. You can make obvious, reasons for it with Visa been out injured initially at the start of the season. Volta has come in, scored 1 or 2 goals earlier on, but probably still looking for a wee bit more from him. Where are you in the 2 signings up front, and obviously Alanga as well in wider area?
I think Alanga's been poor, to be honest. I think he scored a great goal against City, but apart from that, I don't think he suits the way Newcastle play football.
Yeah.
I think he's more suited to a counter-attacking team where a team sits back and he hits them on the counter and drags the team up the pitch with the ball. With Volta, I think they need to put crosses into the box and utilise his height, although he can play with the ball to feet. But again, the way Eddie likes to play in that higher pressing system, is he one that's going to go and do that? And I'm not too sure on Visa. I don't know not why they've signed him, but compared to what they had in Isaac, I don't think he's a patch on Isaac.
Look, John Joe, you know Eddie, and he'll be aware of the criticism. As a person, how would you think he will cope with that criticism personally?
I think he'll block that out. He's very... I don't believe he's on social media or anything like that. He keeps himself to himself. He's a very strong character. He lives and dies by football. You see him, he's in the training ground from 6 o'clock in the morning till 9 o'clock at night. He dedicates his life to football, and I think he's said it in past interviews where he sort of probably neglects his family because of that, and I think they just need to realise what he actually brings to the table, and I think they do. You go back the past 10 years, Newcastle have been struggling, and he's really turned it around at Newcastle, and he's made it exciting to watch, and he brings football that the club want to see.
It's amazing, John. There's never been a greater desire, I don't think, from an expectation from football fans than there is now. And we're going to move on to another one of your old clubs. I'm specifically going to ask you about Liverpool. Arne Slot could not have hoped for a better opening season to take over the reins from, obviously, a Liverpool legend. And Klopp, first season fantastic, second season not just yet at this moment in time, still in the Champions League, obviously. Where do you see Liverpool at this moment in time?
I like to watch Liverpool. It's just the sheer fact that I used to play there, and I love watching them last year. I've not seen too much football this year because of the time difference. It's a bit of a nightmare. But I just think that he's probably had success so quickly too early, if you like. And similar at Newcastle with Eddie coming in, they had success straight away, and it takes time. But for me, they've spent a lot of money as well in the players that they've bought in. And it is Liverpool Football Club at the end of the day, so you're expected to get results every week, and they've had some bad results.
Yeah, no question. Everton could move above them in the table this week. I've got a question in from one of the listeners. James says, John Joe. So John Joe, you worked under the likes of Arda Turan, Ian Holloway, Kenny Dalglish, Rafa Benitez, Michael Laudrup, to name a few. Which manager did you learn the most from, and which manager did you have the best time with?
I probably had the best time with... my most fun time was probably with Ian Holloway, because it's just a character. I probably learned the most under Eddie, but I think the best I've probably, in terms of played and established myself as a Premier League player, was under Michael Laudrup.
You mentioned all those names there, John. You tell me, is that an avenue you'd like to go down yourself when you stop playing?
Yeah. I do enjoy the coaching side of it. I've actually had an offer from a club in Turkey to come in and be an assistant manager, which I'm just unsure of at the moment. Because obviously family are here and settled, so and I don't know whether I'm still a bit too young, but it's something that definitely interests me, and I love learning about the game. I love watching the game, and I mean, if there's a game on the telly, even if it's Azerbaijan third league, I'll sit and watch it and try and analyse it.
Hey, the Azerbaijan third division, that's some great games this season. Do you see the day when you'll come back to this country and maybe be involved in coaching in this country?
At the moment, no. I'm loving being here. It's such a great place to be. Eventually, maybe. I don't know. It depends what doors open up. But for this moment in time, I'm just loving being here. I mean, you never know if something pops up, then and it suits all parties. Then yeah, definitely.
Hey, John Joe, Henry's fishing for compliments here. Another texter. He says, Henry from Milton Keynes here, said, massive Newcastle fan. Can you ask John Joe who the best fans he's ever played in front of are? I think we know what he wants you to say.
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably have to say Newcastle because I was there for such a long period of time. I was there for nearly 10 years, so I'd probably have to say Newcastle. And like, if we didn't move out to Dubai, then we'd still be in Newcastle living there. I'd have never moved back to Essex. So yeah, I'd probably have to say Newcastle.
Giorgio, well, we've got you. Move on to international matters. England, probably with Thomas Tuchel. I look at that squad, mate, and I don't think middle to front. I don't think I've ever seen a stronger English squad, mate. How do you think they'll do moving forward in this World Cup? Because clearly the talent and I think the expectation level from the supporters there.
Yeah, I think they should do well. As you said, the quality of players that are there for his disposal. It's just how does he fit them all into a team? He's a very good manager, and I just hope that it's about time England won something. I just don't know whether we've always struggled in big tournaments in the later stages. So I don't know whether that's like a mentality thing from years and years ago, but the players are there, and I think today's players now are a lot more fearless in terms of like expressing themselves and etc. etc. So I hope that we do well and hopefully can win it.
Brilliant. Hey, John Joe, look, thanks for joining us. What time do your games kick off out there?
We've actually got an FA Cup match tonight. I mean, it's not the FA Cup back home, it's they kick off at 6 p.m. tonight, but then when Ramadan starts, the games are on at 10 o'clock at night, so
yeah,
it's a bit hard.
It's a bit warmer than Newcastle, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's about 33 degrees here today.
Oh, hey, look, I'm envious, but then I don't have to play football, so brilliant. John Joe, look, really appreciate your time,
mate. Best of luck to you.
Best of luck in the future.
Thank you very much. Take care, guys.
All the best, John Joe.
John Joe Shelby there, great to talk to him, wasn't it? And yeah, he scored some absolute cracking goals.
Hasn't he, belters, huh?
And boy, could he hit a long pass, couldn't he, as well? He certainly could. Coming up, we'll bring you all the latest from Coral. We'll also turn our attention to Man City and whether that Liverpool result can give them the boost they need to chase Arsenal down. Dave from Sutton says, City goal should have stood. I hate how ex-refs say rules are rules, ruining the game. VAR can bore off. Charlie from Derby, thank God it was the third goal and not the second, because City would have lost 2 points. Another one here saying, the ref has to take the emotion out of it and disallow the goal. Isn't football all about emotion? Without emotion, what would the point be in anybody watching at all? And so on and so on and so on. So many people are furious with it all. And maybe our next caller, I'm not sure, about to find out, because Neil Warnock has called up. Morning, Neil.
Good morning, Neil.
Good morning, lads. Yeah, I had to do that, yeah.
Go, come on then, what did you make of it?
Well, the thing is, I go back to when I was a young kid, me. My dad refereed, he was a top referee, a Class 1 one, but he would never get to the top because he didn't sell enough raffle tickets for him and these dinners and things. he just refereed how he should do by using common sense, so he never got on. And I remember Bill Shankly saying, they know the laws, but they don't know the game.
Yeah.
And nothing has changed in all them years. I listen to Chris, and Chris is a lovely bloke, but he's one of them. They know the rules, they know it inside out, they know what should be happening, they know this, but they haven't got any idea about common sense. And they all think if we don't give this, then we'll lose some marks and we'll lose some... And it's a load of absolute rubbish. I've never heard anything like it. And it's all, Craig Pawson, I remember at Cardiff, him costing me 2 points against Chelsea. 2-yard offside, so I wanted VAR. But it's the way that they're using VAR now. John Brooks, oh my goodness me, I look at some of these referees. I didn't think they were good enough for the Championship.
The Premier League's profit and sustainability rules are sold to us as financial fair play, a way to keep clubs from going bust. But there are those who feel it's starting to look a lot like a system that protects the big boys and keeps the rest in their lane. Here's how it works and why people feel that way. So clubs can only lose 105 million quid over 3 years, which sounds fair, but here's the kicker. Your limit includes how much you earn. So if you're one of the traditional top 6, you've got massive global revenue streams and you can spend way more while still technically following the rules. Meanwhile, ambitious clubs like Newcastle, Villa or Forest, well, they're bringing a knife to a gunfight. Newcastle might be backed by Saudi billions, but they just can't splurge the cash. Their commercial income isn't there yet. Last season, they won their first domestic trophy since 1955 and qualified for the Champions League, which you'd think would be a great springboard for them to go on and start building a team to challenge at the very top. But because of PSR restraints, they couldn't break their wage structure for a new Alexander Isak contract, and look what happened there. So what's the solution? Well, either loosen the reins so ambitious clubs can spend within their means, or cap spending based on something other than revenue. Otherwise, we're just watching the same 6 teams swapping silverware most seasons, and that, folks, ain't what the Premier League was built on.
Good morning to you. This is the talkSPORT Breakfast Show with Arnold Clark. The UK's biggest used car sale is ending soon. I'm Jeff Stelling. Ally McCoist is Greeno, who says he's depressed and wet and cold and a postie. Says, question for you both, so that means for you, Coisty. Do you think whoever loses out of Newcastle Spurs gets the sack?
No.
No.
Is the irony that's coming for the postie?
Yeah. I never thought about that. You did,
know,
and I'm
no,
sure Greeno did as well. I'm sure he did. He's sharp, mate. So, look, despite all the VAR drama on Sunday, it was a huge 3 points for Man City, wasn't it, in the end? Gap down to 6 with the Arsenal. Favourable run of fixtures to come. So there is a sense amongst many people that City will certainly, if not win the title, they will certainly be close to Arsenal come the end of the season. However, not according to Noah Gallagher, who joined the boys on Drive yesterday and said this.
I don't see Arsenal. I look at Arsenal, I just don't see them slipping up. They've got too much on the bench, and everyone's been banging on this morning about how great that game was yesterday. the last 10 minutes was amazing. The previous 80 minutes was literally a demonstration of why Arsenal are going to win the league this year. That was it. The last 10 minutes was chaos and it was brilliant, but that was not a great game yesterday. I don't care what anyone says. I sat and watched that, and I didn't think Liverpool were great. I didn't think we were great. I thought we were great in the last 10 minutes when we needed to pull something out of the bag, and we did. But other than that, can you think we're not there yet? I'm sorry, but we're not there.
I think that's a bit harsh, Coisty. I thought in the first half, City were pretty good. Thought in the second half, Liverpool were very good. Well, until the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, I'm going to back him up, actually, Jeff, because we spoke yesterday, and I said I didn't think it was a particularly good first half. I stand by it. I didn't think it was great. I thought the second half, and I said to you yesterday, was action-packed and full of drama towards the end of the game. I thought, and I agreed with you, I thought Liverpool were by far and away the better side in the second half. But in terms of the standards and level of football that City and Liverpool have given us previously in previous seasons, that game was nothing like it. And I take his point. I think the drama unfolded in the last 10-15 minutes, and that was what it's all about. But in terms of the standard and the quality of football, I don't think it was as good as we've seen from both teams in the past. I think Liverpool were a better team second half, but I know what he's saying about the Arsenal's strength and depth. I've said to you, Jeff, I think Arsenal might have the strongest squad in history for a top flight in England.
Yeah, I agree with you to a degree about the game. I think the first half wasn't great in the main because Liverpool didn't turn up in that first half. But we get bad games or indifferent games every season. I thought it was a decent contest between the two of them. But I'll tell you what, Coisty, just because City have got to within 6 points of Arsenal, I don't see any reason for Arsenal to press the panic button.
No.
We forget about the fact that Sunderland are a difficult side to overcome.
Of course they are.
And yet they won comfortably at the weekend. There was no sign of any edginess, any nervousness.
None at all. And I've already seen Sunderland win at Chelsea this year. Sunderland are a good side, and these are the games. And I expected, and I still expect, a nervousness around the Etihad. We spoke about it yesterday, and it's understandable, but it can transmit onto the pitch. But I just think they're too strong as a unit, Arsenal, at this moment in time. And I'll say it again, Jeff, the result at the weekend, City's result at the weekend, of course it wasn't good for Arsenal, because Arsenal wanted them to drop points. But where Noel Gallagher is spot on, was City's, did we see anything from City's performance that would scare Arsenal? I'm not so sure.
No, I agree with you. I don't think we did. Anyway, look, 6 points is the gap. And of course, people say, and they are right, that if City win their game this week against Fulham, they play before the Arsenal, the gap will be down to 3 points. But I think that mentality-wise, Arsenal are spot on so far this season anyway. Dino in Liverpool just says, hi, fellas, no talk about how well Everton are doing. Not been able to spend in around 5 years. We're poised to go above Liverpool if we win tonight. Yeah, we did touch on it earlier, Dino, but you are absolutely right. Everton had a brilliant season. Right, let's get the latest odds with Coral and John Hill.
The Coral Daily Download on talkSPORT with Coral. We're here for the fans this season. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
John, good morning to you.
Good morning, John. There's only one result of the weekend, mate. Only one result of the weekend. You boys versus Carlisle.
Yeah, two great wins on the spin, actually, Ali. We beat Boreham Wood 4-1 last Tuesday, and then Carlisle, that was always going to be a tough game for us, but we were excellent. We really were brilliant defensively, and picked up a goal from a set piece. And I tell you what, I've got my Hartlepool United shirt ready for tomorrow because I need Jeff's boys to do us a favour. They're away to York tomorrow, so if you can just take a few points off them, Jeff, I will be absolutely delighted. And I tell you what, I'll buy you a few drinks. You don't have to put your hand in your pocket for any time of the rest of the year. So come on, let's get a result tomorrow, Jeff.
John, I've got a feeling you won't be putting your hand in your pocket, mate.
Well, I haven't done for a long time, so it may well be dry still. How have you out of my wallet when it comes out?
How have you managed this then? You got 5 home games in a row.
Well, we had those games called off, didn't we? About last year, it was two games in hand still. But it's a good stretch, really. I think it's going to define the season for us as well, Jeff. Because tough games in there. We've still got Forest Green to come. Scunthorpe at home. You know, teams are just below us. So I think this is going to really define us. And it looks like we're just breaking away ourselves from York from the rest of the pack.
It's the two of you clear now. I don't think there's any doubt about
Jeff.
that.
Yeah,
you know, but unfortunately, with the ludicrous system that we have at the moment, only one is guaranteed to
It's
go.
crazy.
Absolutely farcical. Yeah, farcical.
Yeah.
Just before we move on to the other stuff, John, what about the Championship at the moment? Middlesbrough top of the pile. Now, are they favourites to win that league?
What a league this is, by the way. You know, we're talking about the National League being great, but I think this is right up there. And very, very little between them. Obviously, great result for Middlesbrough. They are favourites now at 11-8, but Coventry are just behind at 7-4, and then it's Ipswich 9-4. So, you know, given we're at this stage of the season, there can't be many leagues in the world where there's 3 teams within half a point of each other. So it's going to be fascinating. I think Middlesbrough have got some momentum, haven't they? I think Coventry just slightly on the decline. You would worry a little bit about them, but it's going to be great into the season in that league.
I just thought, John, looking at it, I thought Ipswich, I'm not rolling Ipswich out. Brilliant result, obviously, the weekend away at Derby.
Yeah.
I thought it was a terrific result, and Jeff and I just love that championship. Tonight, some football, John, there's some brilliant football tonight. I'll ask you, we'll start off with high-flying Manchester United, also current form, very, very good, West Ham.
Yeah, you're spot on. It's 2 informed teams here, isn't it? And both at different ends of the table. I have to say, I think what West Ham have shown the last 2 weeks or so, they've got enough to stay up. I think they've got to give themselves a good chance. They need results still, but they've got enough quality, I think, to stay up. And United, it's just incredible, isn't it, really, what Michael Carrick's done. How do you look at this? Is it a case of, you know, how bad was Amorim, you know, for the players not to be delivering for him, or is Carrick just the right man? I don't know. Probably a bit of both. But United are odds on 8-11. They're looking for that 5th straight win under Michael Carrick. West Ham 16-5 to continue their great form, and the draw 16-5. Just looking at that relegation betting, they're still odds on West Ham to go down. They are, what are they? They are 4-7 to go down this season. Forest 7-2. Leeds had a good win. They're 13-2. So they're not chasing many teams. That's the problem for West Ham. But they've done enough to convince you guys have got a chance.
They've got a chance.
And by the way, John, you didn't mention Spurs there. Now, I think Spurs are in the mix.
8-1.
You know,
They are.
8-1. Yeah. And what a big game tonight, because Spurs and Newcastle are both looking over their shoulders.
Yeah, and if they lose that, you know, I don't think we'll be quoted 8-1 tomorrow morning on this slot. But they're at home tonight. Spurs just a little bit bigger than 2-1. They're 21-10 to prevail. Newcastle are favourites 5-4, despite being on the road. The draw 5-2. But yeah, big game for both sides. But Spurs have got to start bringing up results. Otherwise, as you say, they are very much in this relegation scrap.
High-flying Everton, John, an opportunity to go above their city rivals, incredibly.
Yeah, and it's a tough game to call this tonight. I think all 4 of them, really, you could probably make cases for each team, couldn't you? Everton 11-8 favourites, Bournemouth 19-10, the draw 12-5, so not much in there. And I think Bournemouth are still having a good season, aren't they? I think you have to applaud what's been done there at Bournemouth. They keep, you know, overachieving, if you like, for want of a better word. But they're on course for a good season, the Cherries. And you say Everton, I think they could finish the campaign well as well under David Moyes. And you think of West Ham, you know, the season that David Moyes had there, he won a European trophy, kept him up year after year. Still wasn't good enough, was it? And, you know, sometimes you think the grass is green on the other side, but I don't think it was in David Moyes' case.
Brilliant, John. Thanks very much. Give my regards to Manny if you bump into him.
Cheers, guys, and come on John tomorrow.
Well, for once, we are absolutely united, mate. We are absolutely united.
Yeah.
Thanks, John. Rochdale got Forest Green at home, of course. Robbie Savage's team. We've had a bit of a wobble recently.
They have had a wee bit of a wobble, haven't they? I noticed that.
They have, they have. That was a look at the latest odds with Coral. 18+ gambleaware.org. Craig from Blackpool says, agree with the comments made about Man City's performance not being the best we've seen, but sometimes football isn't as pretty as it needs to be. Just go out there and get the 3 points. I just think we need to show a bit of consistency from now to the end of the season. So Craig, an optimistic City fan. Coming up, we'll ask Ali if Everton go above Liverpool tonight. The pressure will become even bigger on Arnie Slot.
The Coral Daily Download on talkSPORT with Coral. We're here for the fans this season. 18+ gambleaware.org.
These players sometimes have got too much of it. They live in an environment where they're constantly told how wonderful they are. They're constantly provided for and supported, and you have to do that because it's a difficult game at times to play at elite levels. And don't put all the rewards to one side. But unless you start confronting people with their shortcomings as well as their positives, you will not build character, you will not build resilience, you will not build leaders, and you will not build people that actually make a team.
But Van Dijk says, Sammy, when you're getting bullied after a disappointing performance or receiving bad criticism, it's hard for the younger stars to ignore.
But
Jim, you dish it out, to be fair to you. You can dish it out.
We're talking about former...
Do you ever
with respect, we're not talking about Simon here. We're talking about former players.
Do you ever think for a moment...
Could I speak on that?
Should a pundit ever think for a moment, I wonder if that kid... I wonder if that will affect him, what I've just said.
Depends what's being said about them. If you turn around and say that a 19-year-old kid is absolutely useless and thick and ugly, then you're getting into... If you say that's a terrible performance, he's got to get a bit more about him.
I don't see any harm in this.
There's nothing wrong with that.
So, I mean, as former players, we need to be reminded every now and again. It looks very easy sat in the gantry. You know, you can all see the pass sat in the gantry. Only Dennis Bergkamp could see it on the pitch. And we forget the game looks easy. And it's all about development.
Oh, yeah, but the basics.
And there are
pressures.
pressures.
The basics,
there are pressures.
No one expects everyone to operate like Pirlo or Dennis Bergkamp. It's about the basics. But people go after people for the basics. When they don't do the basics, don't apply themselves. They don't do the basic fundamentals that it takes most decent Premier League footballers are capable of doing. That's what they go after. They don't go after people not being able to hit a 60-yard worldie, do they?
But obviously on the inside, if he's saying that on the outside, on the inside, they're obviously a bit cheesed off with what some of the former players are saying, because of constant criticism.
But again, we saw that last year, not last year, the year before in the Euros, where the media's job, put aside punditry, the media's job was totally and utterly to be cheerleaders for the England team when what we were watching in front of us was abject, turgid crap. And you were supposed to say it was good because if you...
Hello and welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We've been taking you through what should be another busy day of football. Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology.
How would you get to that conclusion?
That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
Good morning, 8:50 on Tuesday, February the 10th. This is talkSPORT Breakfast with me, Jeff Stelling and Ally McCoist. Okay, he is Rangers' all-time leading goal scorer. He was once voted the 98th sexiest man alive. We're about to put him to the test right now as we ask Ally McCoist.
DC, man, but the football ground is it. Pardon me.
I'm saying a mongoose.
Yeah, but it's
a mongoose-like creature. It might be the mongoose, in fact.
Yeah. Marvellous! You've got no idea! I used to be quite well respected in footballing circles. So ask me.
Ask Ali for the next couple of minutes. We're going to start with Arsenal and Victor Gyökeres started life in North London, which has come under a lot of scrutiny. Let's be brutally honest about it. They paid a lot of money for him. He did come off the bench to score 2 over the weekend, taking his league tally to 8 for the season. 87% of his goals have come against teams in the bottom 5. So 2 questions, Ali. The one I've got in front of me here says, is Gyökeres in danger of being labelled as a flat-track bully? Or my question would be, are we finally beginning to see the best of Victor Gyökeres?
It's a great question. And see, looking at him, Jeff, what's he got? 8 goals so far, 23 games, which isn't bad.
Yeah.
Not bad at all.
13 in all competitions.
Yeah, which I think is more than acceptable.
Yeah.
More than acceptable. But it's interesting to look at because he's one of these centre forwards. Looking at him, he isn't the easiest on the eye, Jeff, right? And there'll be a more comparison made to him, the way he plays, to a Haaland than there would be to an Isak or an Ekitike, because that's the kind of the way he plays the game. I think he will score goals. I think if he can get himself up around 20 goals this season, Jeff, that is more than acceptable. And I expect continued improvement in his play and continued improvement in his goal scoring.
Yeah.
That said, mate, I think if there's a really important game tomorrow, I think he probably starts Havertz, right? With the option of bringing perhaps Jesus or Gyökeres on. See, I already mentioned that the strength and depth Arsenal got is absolutely ridiculous, and he will continue to play his part. And I think he's having a more than acceptable first season, Jeff. I really do. You know, his goal scoring return is absolutely fine. But, and it's a big but, if Arsenal have got a massive game to play tonight, a massive game, win or bust, I'm not sure Gyökeres starts. I just think he's happier with the ball retention of somebody like a Havertz.
Yeah, and I get that. It's just that Havertz, for me, is not an out-and-out goal scorer.
He's not.
I think over his career he averages about 1 in 4, something like that.
No, he's absolutely not. But my reason for saying that is I think he would sacrifice that because Arteta is comfortable that he'll get goals from other areas as well. You know, if his only source of goals was the number 9 Gyökeres, then he starts.
Yeah.
I get that. But I think in all-round play, I think he would sacrifice those goals because he's pretty confident and comfortable with the fact whether it's Martinelli, Trossard, these boys, Saka, Madueke, he'll get goals, Mourinho, whoever it may be, he'll get goals from other areas.
Yeah. I've got to take this at face value. Ryan's texted me, said Jeff Gyökeres is 3 goals off Drogba's total for his first Premier League season with 13 games left. Yeah. And he's got, I think, 6 in his last 8 in all competitions.
Absolutely.
So that's good, you know, that's
of
good.
Course it
especially
is.
when you're not starting every
it
game. And it's about impact coming off the bench as well, isn't it? That's for sure. I want to ask you a question about Leeds. They got to Chelsea this evening. We barely mentioned Leeds. They've had a fantastic run. But what worries me for Leeds, 6 points clear of West Ham, 3 points clear of Forest. 22 of their 29 points have come at home. They have 1 away win all season. That was at Wolves in September. Coisty, could Leeds' away form yet threaten their place in the Premier League?
Of course it could. But the flip side of it is their home form will see them comfortably stay up, I think. There is no doubt about it that their away form is a massive concern, Jeff. Absolutely massive concern. However, you look at the way they go about their business. Arsenal game aside at home, because you and I have already discussed Arsenal. I think Arsenal in many ways at this moment in time would be happier playing away from the Etihad in the league, because I just think that's kind of, I don't know, it's a bizarre thing to say, but I just think there's less pressure on them, and the importance of playing at home nowadays isn't as great as it used to be. But Leeds, it's the flip side of that argument, because their home form has been fantastic, created the atmosphere within the stadium with the fans. Their away form is a massive concern. However, you've got to say Daniel Farke, and a lot of people, you know, were questioning whether he should be taking Leeds into the top flight. He's got to tune out them. He's getting a tune out them at home. I don't think they'll win tonight, to back up your question. But I think their home form will be enough to stay up.
Yeah. Calvert-Lewin, 10 goals, been a revelation.
Brilliant.
But also, I think as well, Aronson, and I like Okafor as well. He never normally lasts more than about 70 minutes in a game.
I think you're right to mention Aronson, though. Yeah. He's having a terrific season, really lively, Jeff.
Yeah. Just finally, Coisty, Brian, who's in Liverpool but an Everton fan, says, like most of us, finishing above Liverpool only means one thing: we should be around a European place. Where do you think Everton will finish, Coisty, and will it be good enough to get them into Europe?
Wow, there's the question. I'm just getting the league table right up in front of me right now. They won't like me saying it. No, they're just going to finish outside Europe. They could win tonight and go above Liverpool. That's obviously the target. it's not a guarantee, because we know what Bournemouth are absolutely amazing in the respect, Jeff. The players that they are losing and the players that they've lost, and they maintain that, stability in the league. So they're clearly not. It's a tough game for Everton. Everton have been a fantastic story, but sadly, I just think they'll finish out the European places, mate.
Okay. Well, in the long run, Everton fans won't thank me for saying it, because you've got to aim high. You've got to aim high. I get that completely.
The fact
but
that we're having the
would they
conversation...
benefit from having European football next season? They'd have to strengthen that squad significantly, that's for sure. But hey,
well, it tells you how well they're doing, Jeff. The fact that we're having this conversation, you and I.
Yeah, I certainly don't think it's impossible that they could reach a European spot. That's for sure. Coisty, thanks very much indeed. Let's take a look, shall we, at what's coming up on the Breakfast Show this morning.
Superstar Breakfast preview on talkSPORT with Benchmarx Kitchens and Joinery. Get trade prices on kitchens to suit all styles and budgets at Benchmarx.
Spurs fans, get your calls in. How important is it that you get something tonight? Oh, indeed, get a win tonight. Are you generally worried about relegation? Is it as simple as this being a must-win as far as Thomas Frank is concerned? Spurs fan Ricky had this to say earlier on in the show.
The standards of this football club are quite simply on the floor.
Ricky,
they are on the floor.
03717 223344. Spurs fans, give us a call and you'll be on next. Are the standards at Tottenham, as Ricky says, on the floor at the moment? And what does it need to lift them off that floor, if that is the case? And that was our breakfast preview with Travis Perkins Hire.
Superstar Breakfast preview on talkSPORT with Travis Perkins. With 250 hire branches nationwide, it's easy to hire at Travis Perkins.
Everything that we saw from Ruben Amorim, just to demonstrate the difference that Carrick has had. Like, Manchester United have already surpassed the points tally from last season with 13 games to go.
Well, exactly. And winning that 4 on the bounce now. And I think the fifth game is actually going to be our hardest game, considering the form of West Ham. I think that will be our biggest test. And I know that we've played City, we've played Arsenal, but I think West Ham are going to be our biggest test.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I mean, I thought today's victory was, on some definition, actually the best victory. It was the best one. You know, it wasn't relying on emotion. It wasn't about the huge occasion. It wasn't relying upon like the huge noise and the desperation to win of a derby. This was a routine victory. It was another day, another win for Manchester United. And that is what Manchester United need to get back to. Just that standard procedure 2-0 home victory.
If Amorim was in charge today, we would have got beaten. Yeah, even with the red card. No. Even with Tottenham getting the red card, I think we still would have had a very hard game of it.
No, I completely agree. Not only that, if you'd have had Bruno Fernandes playing in some deep role, Kobe Mainoo would have been nowhere near the starting lineup, Amad Diallo would have been playing as a fullback. Sometimes football's a very simple game, and Ruben Amorim is a complete fraud, a complete imposter. He tried to pull the wool over all of our eyes by
being the nice guy.
By pretending that the game was played on a different plane that we could possibly understand. He was he was like suggesting that if you didn't understand his ridiculous.
Who would have thought a sporting events halftime show could have a bigger impact than the game itself?
Well, the Super Bowl halftime show does exactly that. In 2024, Usher brought in an audience of 180 million worldwide, the biggest ever in the event's history. But how did singing and dancing get to be the centerpiece of America's biggest sporting event? The first edition of the Super Bowl was held in 1967 when the Green Bay Packers beat the Kansas City Chiefs in Los Angeles. Because of the sheer size of the event, organisers wanted to put on entertainment at halftime for the fans in the stadium. It was a display of marching bands, dancers and pure USA patriotism, and that was the theme that followed for years. In the 1980s, the Walt Disney Company got involved and we started seeing some interesting and questionable displays. But we got our first glimpse of halftime shows to come in '93 when none other than Michael Jackson stunned fans with his 15-minute medley of his own smash hits. When he walked out on stage, he had to wait for the crowd's cheers to die down for about 2 minutes before even starting his first song. Diana Ross, Gloria Estefan, Phil Collins all starred in their own shows, as did Aerosmith, who performed alongside NSYNC. Things got a little bit out of hand in 2004 when Justin Timberlake and Janet Jackson produced perhaps the most famous or infamous wardrobe malfunction in history. Shows from the likes of Prince, Lady Gaga and Beyoncé are considered by critics as the best. To give you an idea of the scale of things, Rihanna's 2023 halftime show included roughly 800 people. These ranged from backing dancers to stage crew to camera operatives broadcasting to millions around the world. The whole stage for that show was built in roughly 8 minutes and was broken down and cleared away in the same time. The acts perform for free nowadays, even though the experts reckon it costs around $13 million to put on Rihanna's show. Artists know they'll rocket up the charts in the following weeks. Rihanna's average sales improved by 140% in the months following her performance. The Super Bowl halftime show will be a fixture in pop culture for years to come. So the question is, who next?
Good morning, Tuesday, February the 10th, it's 9:05, and this is talkSPORT Breakfast with me, Jeff Stelling Ally McCoist, and Arnold Clark's Real Sale. It's your last chance to save big on your next car. The sale ends on the 16th of February. Right, time to look ahead to the Premier League now with TNT Sports.
Breakfast football preview on talkSPORT with TNT Sports. Get the passion and the pain, the heroics and the heartbreak all in one place. TNT Sports, not normal. Subscription required, 18 plus, terms and conditions apply.
Well, huge night of Premier League football tonight. Huge week, in actual fact. It doesn't get any bigger, though, really, than Tottenham against Newcastle, which is live on talkSPORT 2. Spurs yet to win a Premier League game in 2026 under Thomas Frank. So the Spurs boss was asked yesterday when he was speaking to the media if he was getting desperate.
Could have worded it differently, maybe. But I actually think there's something in it. It should be that feeling. It should be that feeling when we haven't won enough. So the way I work, we're all different, is that if you haven't, how can I say, won enough, or you haven't done, then you do everything you can, and you actually do a little bit more. You work a little bit harder. You just know that's the way out of tough moments. So that's what I expect from the. Because if you're not desperate, you don't understand. How can I say? The situation you're in terms of don't win enough, We need to turn it and win another football game.
From a Tottenham perspective, I mean, look, this is just not obviously just this season. If you look back at the last 38 games from sides who were in the Premier League last season to this season, only Wolves have got fewer points from those 38 games than Tottenham. Wolves would have, I think, 31, and Tottenham would have 37. So it's a long-standing issue. I wonder, Coisty, for me, the big question is why people at the football club at Tottenham have said during January, apart from Conor Gallagher, we're not spending in January. Yeah. We're going to spend our money in the summer. Is that a big mistake?
Well, it could turn into an unbelievably big mistake, Jeff. They're obviously gambling that they've got enough to see out the season, right, and obviously stay in the league. But I'm with you, mate. That's a stranger because we are aware that the January window, you think, you know, generally speaking, the level of player and the number of players you can get are better in the summer. But that said, I do take your point and agree with it, because you just look at that treatment room at Tottenham. I mean, Thomas Frank needs help like you've no idea. Absolutely no idea. See, there's been a little bit of improvement in Xavi Simons and boys like that, and Solanke's back scoring a couple of goals, and he'll continue to do that. But I'm with you, mate. I think they needed help. The team, the squad needed help in January. And it could come back and bite them. I don't think it will. But, I mean, they should have strengthened and looked and said, look, you mentioned a couple of players that are going to play this season. I don't know, Jeff, would have looked and said, look, we're going to get 4 or 5 back, 5, 6 back within 2 or 3 weeks, and that's the reason for the gamble, Jeff. But yeah, from where I'm sitting right now, they should have strengthened.
Yeah, I think a lot hinges on Dominic Solanke.
Agreed.
Staying fit, getting the goals. He's come back and he's looked in decent nick as well.
Of course he has.
I've got actually a question here, which is a good question. Premier League relegation, how many points do you think teams might need to avoid the drop this year?
That's a brilliant question, because, I mean, you look at West Ham are picking up points.
Yeah.
It always used to be the 40 mark, didn't it?
Yeah.
If we're accepting, and we are accepting, Burnley and Wolves are away. Tottenham sitting in 29 just now. We're saying they're still in it. What have they got? They've got 13 games to go. Crikey, it might be 40 points, you know.
Yeah, I think it won't be far off, Coisty. I mean, I look at West Ham as, if you look at as the sort of waterline, they've got 23 now. Let's assume that they, in those 13 games, maybe they won 4 of them.
That's what I'm saying.
You know, maybe 5. If they won 5 of them, then you are looking at above 38 points anyway.
Yeah.
I think 37, 38 is probably going to be the minimum that teams need this season now.
I don't disagree. I mean, some of the games we've got coming up, Jeff, dear me. Even you're looking at Forest, Wolves, and what a result. I keep going on about it. What a result Palace had at the weekend.
Oh, yeah,
because myself included, I'm thinking to myself, they need to get a win from somewhere.
Brilliant, yeah.
And they got it the weekend, to be fair to them.
Yeah, they did. And I know needs must, but they were one of the sides who went out and bought players during January. Let's head to the phone lines. Bradley's a Spurs fan. Morning, Bradley.
Good morning, Bradley.
Morning, Jeff. Morning, Ali. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no worries. So, are you worried at the moment? How worried are you?
Yeah, I'm very worried. I mean, I was never in favour of Thomas Frank. I didn't think he was the right man for the job. I've been to about 8 games this season. The football is awful. I mean, it was, you know, we were poor under Ange last year, but at least we sort of give it a go. We just keep doing the same things. We start games really poorly, and then second half it sort of seems like the players take matters into their own hands. The one, you know, despite the injuries we've had, the one real bright spark for me this season has been Matisse Tell. I think he's looked really good when he's played, but then he doesn't get a start, or he scores and then he's dropped again. He comes on in the 80th minute. Yeah, I mean, look, we've had injuries, but tactically, and I think I just personally, I think the job's too big for Frank. I don't think he is that level of manager.
I've got to say, Bradley, it doesn't help either when your manager's got to deal with your captain's comments during the week, and then letting his teammates and the team and the supporters down at the weekend getting the red card.
That was ridiculous. If you're going to come out and you're going to make those comments, then, you know, last week he's putting out statements saying it's ridiculous. We've only got 14 fit players, etc., against Man City. And then the following week he gets himself sent off and reduces that number even further. I mean, Romero's always been a bit of a liability. I don't think he's not a top quality centre back in the Premier League of the likes of kind of Van Dijk and such. He's got that in his game.
Oh,
he's just too overexcited at times.
I think we're losing you, Bradley. Look, thank you very much indeed for that. Let's move on. Let's hear from John, shall we? Who's also a Spurs fan. Morning, John.
Morning, John.
Good morning, Jeff. Morning, Ali. Well, where do we start? So much to say about my club. You know, I am fortunate enough to be old enough to have remembered the days when we used to win trophies in the 80s, and I was at Wembley when we beat Man City. I was there when we beat Anderlecht in the 84 UEFA Cup final. So, you know, I'm really happy to have those memories. And I go occasionally. My brother is a season ticket holder. He's over there all the time. I go occasionally. But it's a tough watch. But really, guys, I have to say, while we have Enoch at the helm, I think this is our future. 25 years they've been at it now. They seem to promise everything and deliver very little. We've done well enough to win 2 trophies that, you know, everyone criticises the final against United last season. It won't be the first ugly final you've ever seen. It won't be the last. But as you guys know, especially you, Ali, it's about winning them when you get there, right? And that's what it's about. And we won it. So I wish everybody would stop disrespecting that tournament. It's a major tournament, whatever they call it these days. It has been for a number of years, and we're very proud to have won that trophy. And by hook or by crook, we won that trophy. Talking about, Crookie, yes, I mentioned the word. He called it the dog and duck final. Well, the dog and duck final, we beat his team. He needs to remember that.
Hey, I played in the dog and duck final in the past, mate, on the local recreation ground. So thanks, John. Lost as well, by the way. Thank you very much indeed for that. Of course, the T20 World Cup, by the way, I can tell you the Netherlands have just won by 7 wickets against Namibia in their latest match. Don't forget, by the way, football-wise, talkSPORT's got every Premier League game over the next 3 nights. Spurs against Newcastle, one of 4 matches tonight. West Ham against Manchester United as well. Just head over to our app or swipe between stations. Stream the Premier League live with TNT Sports on Discovery Plus, or watch TNT Sports channels on EE, Sky and Virgin Media.
Breakfast football preview on talkSPORT with TNT Sports. Get the passion and the pain, the heroics and the heartbreak all in one place. TNT Sports, not normal. Subscription required. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Legendary retired referee Dermot Gallagher joins us here on the show. How are we, Dermot?
Hi, Majestic. Hi, Al.
Hi, Dermot. Listen, let's just get your thoughts off that straight off the bat. We don't want to ask you no questions. You're the ref. Tell us what you saw.
I have to say, I get what Alan says, and I think lots and lots of people will say, you know, give the goal. It keeps 11 against 11. It keeps everybody happy. But when you look at it, there's no doubt whatsoever Szoboszlai is fouled. And by Haaland fouling him, he will argue that stopped him clearing the ball off the line. But you go back, the only reason Szoboszlai gets that far back is because he actually hauls Haaland back. That's the first foul. So I don't think I think Craig has tried to play advantage because he thinks it'll be a goal.
Definitely, Dermot. He's played advantage, isn't he?
Yeah, he's played advantage, and bear in mind, Al, that he can always bring that back if it goes wrong. So
but if you go to the second part, right, where Haaland fouls him, right, but the ball's got in the net. So why didn't he play advantage there as well?
Well, he can't play an advantage for foul on Szoboszlai, can he? Because if the ball's in the net, the game, it's terminated, isn't it?
Hello and welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We've been taking you through what should be another busy day of football. Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology.
How would you get to that conclusion?
That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
Good morning. This is talkSPORT Breakfast. I'm Jeff Stelling. Ally McCoist is with us in Glasgow. Formula INS turned pundit Eni Aluko has been taking the headlines over the past few days, the past few weeks, past few months actually, voicing her thoughts on the coverage of women's football, namely the Women's Euros, back in the summer. To explain a little more, here's talkSPORT's Nick Ellaby.
Last April, Eni Aluko told Radio 4's Women's Hour Ian Wright was blocking female pundits from working in the women's game.
I still feel like there is a double standard where there is still a limited amount of opportunities for women, female broadcasters, both in the men's and the women's game. We're still competing for 2 or 3 seats maximum.
Aluko later apologised to Wright, which he couldn't accept. The row flared up again last week, with Aluko questioning why Nadia Manuha covered the Women's Euros final on ITV, with her and 172-cap Farrah Williams sitting in the stands. That prompted Laura Woods to say caps don't mean automatic work, and she hinted Aluko isn't really rated as a pundit. Aluko then released a statement saying no one ever said I wasn't good enough. Well, here's Simon Jordan's take.
Her main issue is that she doesn't get things because of her colour, and she doesn't get things because of her sex. And none of it to do with the fact that she doesn't get things because she's not a particularly good broadcaster.
In your view?
In my view.
Eni Aluko is coming on White and Jordan today. Don't miss it. The boys are on from 10 a.m.
As Nick said, they don't go anywhere after us this morning. Eni Aluko joining Jim White and Simon Jordan live in the studio. You will not want to miss it. Sean, who's a Birmingham fan, has texted and he said, not one mention of the biggest game of the night.
I know.
Birmingham City against the Baggies. Be a sweet taste later when the Blues send the Baggies down.
Wow. I did look at that, mate. I had a quick look at that. I cannot believe what's happening to the Baggies.
Yeah.
Dear me. And you're right. Birmingham, nothing would probably give them greater joy.
Yeah, well, it would. Obviously, big derby. Eric Ramsey is the West Brom manager at the moment. He's only had 5 games. But it's fair to say they've gone very poorly indeed. They are deep, deep, deep in trouble, aren't they?
I tell you, Jeff, just look. I mean, obviously Sheffield Wednesday away, Oxford sitting at 28 points. The 3 teams, great history. Blackburn on 32 points, Leicester on 32 points, West Bromwich Albion 33 points. Obviously Portsmouth there as well. But West Brom, Leicester and Blackburn, mate, massive games coming up.
Yeah, massive games coming up. And for Birmingham, of course, Birmingham been in great form recently. They're unbeaten in 6 league games. They've won 4 of those 6. A win tonight potentially takes them into the playoff places, which is fantastic. They probably need to win tonight because I've looked at their fixtures coming up. They've got Norwich away, and Norwich are flying at the moment. Then they've got Millwall away. We know how difficult that can be. And then Middlesbrough at home. So really tricky run of games coming up for Chris Davis's side. So if they can get the points on the board this evening, they'll go to those games in really good nick, you know. I remember at the start of the season thinking that Birmingham had a realistic chance of finishing top 6 this season. And I honestly don't really see any reason to change my opinion that they could be top 6. Certainly could be thereabouts. But it's a fascinating division,
Should they be, Jeff? There's a question. Should they be in the top 6?
It's always difficult when you go straight up, isn't it? Back-to-back promotions, that's a big, big ask, regardless of how well-supported financially you are. And they are well-backed financially. There's no doubt about that. But I think they and Wrexham have both made a really good fist of it. Yeah, they have. And so at a different level of Charlton.
Yeah.
So it's been a great division. There's no question. And that match last night between Sheffield United and Middlesbrough showed everything that's good about the championship. Well, apart from that tackle in the second half that got the Sheffield United player straight red card.
Yeah, straight red.
And Graham says, have you forgotten Hearts are playing Hibs tonight? No, we haven't. We talked about it quite a bit earlier in the show. You know, the old early bird gets the worm, Graham. We had John Robertson on talking about that a bit earlier in the show. Now, Manchester United take on West Ham live on talkSPORT tonight at the London Stadium, of course. One of 10 exclusive commentaries across the network this week. Michael Carrick, 100% record, 4 wins out of 4, including against bitter rivals Man City and Arsenal. But the United interim managers taking nothing for granted.
You definitely take the confidence and the feeling from the games that you've had, knowing you can go into the next game with a little bit more feel-good factor about it. But I guess the big challenge is knowing what's got you there and all the hard work and the preparation and then what it takes to win a game of football at this level is tough. So never assuming the next one's just going to be all right.
And this probably wouldn't be I know if you look at the table, it might be a fixture he'd have picked, but I suspect against one of his old clubs as well, this is not a fixture he would pick at this particular moment, because in many respects, it's as tough as the game against Man City.
Jeff, it is. You're absolutely right. But if you obviously can't pick your games, but the way United are just now, he'll be of the feeling we'll play MD. Because momentum, as we spoke in sport, particularly in football, is a massive thing, and I know I keep harping on about it. I was there on Saturday, and it's just a different feeling, just a different vibe, just a completely different atmosphere in and around Old Trafford. So from that point of view, I mean, they've already, as you correctly say, beaten 2 teams of extreme quality in City and Arsenal. They've come back, lost an equalising goal against, I think, was it Fulham, and then Sesko scores a winner, which is what they used to do. They were synonymous with that. And then at the weekend, a comfortable victory against Tottenham. The games will not hold any fears at all for Manchester United or Michael Carrick. No, nor should they. And they'll be coming thick and fast. And it's at a stage now, the feeling within that dressing room, Jeff, maybe 3 months ago would have been, oh dear, who have we got on Saturday, who have we got on Wednesday? And now it's completely the other way. Can't wait for Tuesday, can't wait for Wednesday, can't wait for Saturday. So, in answer to your question, they probably would rather have a different opponent than West Ham, who are equally in good form, but at the same time, it won't hold any fears for them.
Because I would argue that as well, Coisty, the West Ham players, they're going to be thinking now, can't wait for Tuesday, can't wait for Wednesday, in exactly the same way. So it's got the makings of a great game.
I can't wait, Jeff.
Somerville scored in his last 5.
He's been terrific, Jeff. He has been terrific. I've been watching him. He's playing full of confidence. He's lively. He's totally committed. And Jared Bowen on the other side. You know, I think of Jared Bowen. I just think he's absolutely top drawer. If I was Thomas Tuchel, I'd be taking him. So make no mistake about it. West Ham are not without a chance tonight.
Yeah, not without a chance at all. And of course, if they can pick up those points, they go level with Nottingham Forest.
Yeah.
In the table, they're almost certainly still behind them on goal difference. Lenny's texting, he said, "Hello, Spurs FM. Bet you don't read this out." Hey, Lenny, what a great judge you are. Coming up next, we'll be heading over for all the latest from the Winter Games and speaking to someone with some first-hand experience of representing Team GB on the slopes.
On BBC, you've got, I think it was Ellen White, Steph Horton, Nedum Onuora. No offence to Nedum Onuora, nothing against him. I don't know whether he played for England or not. But you're on the main panel for the final for England women. Let's go over to ITV. I'm in the stands with 105 caps. So you've got two women. Between us, we've got 290 caps, something ridiculous, right? You turn over to ITV, and it's Ian Wright, Emma Hayes, and Kaz Carney. So out of 6 spots on 2 of the main, you can't watch the game anywhere else. Out of 6 punditry spots, 2 have gone to men, yeah? Meanwhile, you've got 290, whatever it is, I got sitting in the stands.
Why are there 4 other women being in these positions? And as far as she's concerned, she's not one of them. I would suggest that she's not a very good broadcaster. That might be one of the reasons why. And if you want to learn, I mean, I don't dislike, I think she's quite an intelligent lady. I mean, she's qualified in law, she's nobody's fool, but some of the things that come out of her mouth are foolish. She came on this show about 2 years ago debating with me the idea that Manchester City concocted a transfer deal between sporting directors to try and get, I think it was Declan Rice, wasn't it, that Pep Guardiola was...
When you think about famous F1 circuits, the likes of Silverstone, Monza, Monaco come to mind. One of these is not like the others though. Monaco is just one of a number of street circuits on the calendar, and that number's only set to rise. There's a clear difference between a traditional circuit and a street circuit. One is a purpose-built facility on private land, the other is, as it sounds, a race through the streets of a major city. Monaco's the famous example, twisting and turning through the streets of the Principality with iconic backgrounds and, let's be honest, not a lot of overtaking. But from 2026, there'll be a record 10 street circuits on the calendar. It proves that cash remains king. Each track promoter gives F1 between $20 and $60 million just for the rights to host an F1 race. And when Saudi Arabia pays upwards of $100 million, you can see why it's an attractive prospect for the sport. But is it all positive? Well, the drivers aren't that bothered. If you ask a majority of them, they'll tell you historic circuits at Silverstone, Spa, Monza, Zandvoort, they're the favourites. For the sports organisers, though, it kind of makes sense. In 2025, Monaco had a record 2.3 million strong viewership in the US alone. Meanwhile, for the British Grand Prix several weeks later,
Good morning, this is talkSPORT Breakfast with Arnold Clark's Real Sale. It's your last chance to save on your next car. The sale ends on the 16th of February. I'm Jeff Stelling Ally McCoist is with me. 9:33, Tuesday, February the 10th. A lot of football coming up this week, of course, not just, by the way, in the Premier League, but there are some very tasty Premier League games, including Newcastle travelling to Tottenham. Tonight it's live and exclusive on talkSPORT 2. Bottom half scrap. Both managers sort of looking over their shoulders, really, at the moment, aren't they? We had former Newcastle midfielder John Joe Shelby on the show earlier today. He said he disagreed with criticism of Eddie.
Should be in the job, which I think is totally wrong, because less than a year ago he won the club's first ever trophy in God knows how long. So I think it's very harsh.
I mean, they've got some tough fixtures to come, Coyce, to have Newcastle. Man City away is next, for example, but it goes on after that. They've got some really tough fixtures. And I know Eddie mentioned them defensively the other day after they lost at home to Brentford. But I think the other big question mark is they spent a lot of money on attackers.
Yes.
During the course of the summer. They just can't get it right up front, can they? They tried Baltamada and Wissa and Anthony Gordon leading the line, but nothing's quite worked for them.
No, you're right. It'd be a little bit of a concern. Visa to a lesser degrees, obviously. Couldn't get going due to injury at the start of his Newcastle career. Voltamada's one of these boys, Jeff, you're willing to do well. He just looks a smashing lad, and I think he will get his fair share of goals, but I still think he needs to improve a little bit. They haven't got it right. Alanga's been the one that's been a disappointment. I think we can agree on that. And it was interesting here, one of the lads on earlier, I think it was John Joe earlier, said, and I think he's absolutely spot on. I think Alanga's one of these players that would, is more suited to playing in a team that sits back and kind of defends a little bit. You can hit them on the counter because obviously he's absolutely electric pace. So he has been a little bit of a disappointment. So yeah, I take that, and Eddie would have to take that as a level of criticism that the signings really haven't hit the ground running.
Yeah, no, I and obviously, like every team, they've had injuries.
Of course.
But I couldn't help but notice against Brentford that they had £160 million worth of talent on the substitutes bench. So it's difficult to use that as an excuse, really. After Man City away, by the way, they've got Everton at home, Man U at home, Chelsea away, and then the arch rivals, Sunderland at home. Difficult times as far as the Toon Army is concerned. Right, let's turn our attention to Milan, shall we? And the Winter Olympics that kicked off last Friday. So it has been fantastic watch. We're joined now by somebody who knows her way down the ski slope. She's two-time Olympian, the first woman ever to land a double backflip in competition. Amy Fuller, welcome to the show.
Hey, well, good morning.
Morning, gentlemen.
Morning,
it's
Amy.
great to see you both.
And you too. Look, I've got a question. I haven't read that link out. How the heck do you first start to practice a double backflip?
I mean, it's mind-boggling stuff. But essentially, if you were to think of a spice scale in a very famous restaurant chain that we all know so well, I don't know what, Ali, go on, what's your level of spice?
I'm actually quite hot, I don't mind it. I might not look at Amy. I might not look at, but believe me, I am.
You're in the danger zone. So it's all about operating at your comfortable level and getting so comfortable in one zone. So that be it, the medium spice, that essentially the next step into trying a new trick becomes excitement rather than fear. So for me, I got so comfortable doing a single flip, and in particular with the cab double, so that's a switch backflip with a 180, that the next step purely became excitement. So it's all about reduced risk training environments.
Amy, tell me, I want to take you back further than the double flip.
Yes, take me.
I want to ask you where it all began, because I was doing a little bit of homework there, and I'm led to believe you spent a little bit of time in your youth in America and things like that, because I'm thinking to myself, when I was growing up in East Kilbride, I was handed a football and I went out to play the football. I wasn't handed a set of skis or a snowboard or anything like that. So tell me how it started.
Okay, so I'm from Keston in Kent, and we used to live behind a field. My dad got me a quad bike at the age of 4. That swiftly got upgraded to a motocross bike because the quad bike wasn't fast enough to keep up with the boys. So if you take reading lines and transitions in a motocross track, and then 2 years of being the elephant in the gymnastics class, aged 10 to 12, you combine the two, as well as having Bromley Dry ski slope, you have the perfect combination for snowboarding.
Sounds like it could hurt. You must have hurt yourself. Even though you want to take the risk out of it, you must have hurt yourself frequently over the years.
Yeah, definitely. Injuries do happen in all three sports, and it's not a matter of if, but when. I really have had my fair share. I've fractured my eye socket, so if you to look at my face parallel, you can see there's a slight lump. I've broken my coccyx, my rib, but I really consider those minor injuries. You know, we've seen some horrific injuries, you know, Lindsey Vonn going down and entering the event with her ACL. I feel very lucky to have avoided those, and it is all incredibly calculated. I think people look at free sports as adrenaline fueled, kind of like, people pin it up to be a bit crazy. We've even heard Kirsty Muir say that maybe you need to have a screw loose. I would say it's actually about being incredibly comfortable within your own ability. So if I was to get in the car with one of you lads and you were to drive a bit quick, I wouldn't be comfortable in that environment. So it's about being able to control the controllables.
Yeah.
You mentioned, and I want to bring it up to you, and it's easy with hindsight. It's the easiest thing in the world, Amy. We know that. But you mentioned Lindsey Vonn. Let's talk about Lindsey Vonn, because I got up yesterday morning, or Sunday morning, I beg your pardon, and the first thing I did was sit down and watch the Winter Olympics. I've got a cup of tea, and I couldn't believe it. It was agony to watch. It was just agony to watch. She was in agony. You could hear her in agony. And we're all smart now saying it was a wrong decision for her to do this and do that. Where do you sit on it? Where do you see it?
I think it was horrific to witness. I understand the reasons why she competed.
Yeah.
To me, it makes sense. Imagine dedicating 4 years of your life and having it stripped away from you 1 week before. She, both mentally and physically, is incredibly strong. So if anyone in the world, she had the ability and the capability to perform on that track. However, now we are seeing closer up clips, and it looks as though she actually got clipped in the gate, hooked her bib, but then you just see the compression and her inability to ride through that turn and quite literally getting bucked. I have to say, I'm absolutely devastated at the outcome and the news of her going down and essentially fracturing her leg. But at the same time, I really, really believe she has just done wonders for women's sport. And she has proven time and time again that she is the greatest of all time and will forever be remembered as that.
Yeah. I mean, sitting watching yesterday, it was a brilliant day's sport, but ultimately heartbreaking, if you like, for Kirsty Muir and Mia Brooks, who both finished just outside the medals. When these games are over, how will they look back and reflect on finishing fourth in their respective events there?
So I think you've got two very different scenarios here. So slopestyle, Kirsty Muir really was picked for the gold medal. She is an incredible talent. She's so young, so professional, with such a depth of experience already at her second Olympic Games. We know she can ski better than that. So in this instance, it was a case of Kirsty maybe not performing her very best and nerves getting the better of her. However, Mia Brooks, she has gone out and she has performed the best she's ever snowboarded at her first Olympic Games. So Mia's is almost a celebration of what she achieved, because she did a backside 16, which is a brand new trick. She's never done that before. So that's essentially unlocked a new chapter for her in her snowboarding, especially moving forward into the slopestyle event. So they're two very different scenarios. I think Mia is currently celebrating the fact that she's done something new for the first time and she can take that forward, whereas Kirsty is maybe reconsoling and looking at how she can then challenge that in her next event. And we know she can. So let's just hope she's shaken off the jitters and it was just a bit of a blip, which of course happens in action sports.
Amy, tell me overall, what's your feelings being of the Winter Olympics? Because I've got to say, from certainly my point of view, I've really enjoyed it. I've enjoyed the coverage. Coverage has been fantastic. Obviously, you want our home nations and home competitors and athletes to do well. But I mean, the atmosphere over there, the Italians, as you would imagine, you can't get more passionate people. They seem to be loving it. I just think the whole thing's been great.
I think it's so nice to have an Olympic Games on this time zone and so close. It definitely, as athletes, gives them that home field advantage. I mean, you could literally hop in the car and drive out there and be there in 12 hours. So I think it makes it accessible for us all to watch. And it's just such a phenomenal platform to inspire that next generation. And I think we are seeing the knock-on effect of, for example, the snowboarding in 2014 and how we had that slight gap in talent in 2022. And we're now seeing, the full-blown effects of that here in 2026. I mean, pizza, pasta, Italia, fresh snow and sunshine. You're missing out if you're not there.
Look, just briefly, Amy, have we got any medal hopes coming up, do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think you should be tuned in today to all things curling. So there is the mixed doubles medal match.
Yeah.
That's at 2:05 p.m. and we could potentially clinch a bronze. But also upcoming, we do have Charlotte Banks. That's towards the end of this week, and she has an incredible chance in the border cross. So that's the racing event where you've got 4 to 6 riders going head to head, and
It's
quite
brilliant.
literally,
It's fantastic to watch.
anything can happen.
Amy, look, thank you so much for joining us. Enjoy
Really
the rest of the
appreciate it.
games.
Oh, thank you so much, guys. And make sure you tune in on TNT because I'm going to hop back into the studio.
Enjoy.
We'll be watching. You can
Thanks,
watch
Amy.
every moment of the Olympic Winter Games Milano Cortina live on TNT Sports, as Amy was saying, and Discovery Plus runs right through till the 22nd of February. Has she persuaded you to practice a double backflip at all, Coisty?
I've just got this vision of Amy coming flying round the corner on a quad bike. Never mind anything else, man.
From the Winter Olympics to the Championship, we'll turn our attention to the Borough next and whether they're destined for the Premier League. We'll ask that question to my mate and yours, Chris Kamara. That's next.
There's so many twists and turns in this. When you've been on this road, right? Now, look, there are certain people who were at that game yesterday, former Manchester United players who won this thing many, many times. I've won it as well. And you have to shut out the noise. It's about what you do, not what the opposition do. And, of course, it would have been handy if it had gone 9 points clear. But the fact that it didn't happen, Arsenal are not derailed by that. I actually saw a lot from Arsenal at the weekend that makes me think, actually, do you know what? They could go the distance. But this is the life. When you're trying to lead, when you're trying to be a prospective champion, Jim, there are twists and turns. You stay calm and you stay confident and you go to the next game. Arsenal play Brentford now. Now, for those people, the neutrals that were, I mean, by the way, Sunderland gave everything at the weekend. So nobody was like, it wasn't an easy gimme for Arsenal. Brentford now is another very difficult game for Arsenal.
Of course,
as it would have been if they would have been 9 points
They're
clear.
all difficult games. We know that. Psychologically, might this be bigger for Manchester City, though, Simon, than it is for Arsenal?
Well, I don't think it has anything to do with Arsenal. Arsenal don't need to worry about what Man City are doing. The only time Arsenal need to worry about what Man City is doing is when they're playing them. Arsenal are in control of their own destiny.
You don't think Arsenal players watched that game yesterday at Anfield?
They might do.
Of course they did.
But again, you're asking me what I think, not what they think. What I think is that Arsenal's only concern is what they do. They can't control what Man City do. If Man City go and beat teams 10-0 or lose 10-0, it's got nothing to do with Arsenal. If Arsenal win the games, Man City have got to get 3 better results out of the next 15 games. So 25 to 20% of the games, Man City have got to get better outcomes than Arsenal. And nothing about Arsenal's current form. And in fact, when they went up to Leeds and bashed the Leeds side that most people are struggling with in recent times, it gives you an indication that Arsenal are in very good form. Man City are not a Premier League winning side. How many of those players in...
Hello and welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We're taking you through what should be another busy day of football.
Chance to win it! Oh! we don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology.
How would you get to that conclusion?
That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
Good morning. This is the last, 10 minutes or so of the talkSPORT Breakfast Show. Me, Jeff Stelling Ally McCoist. Just a quick text. Leon says, hi, guys. Just want to say that Amy, you just had on your show, is a brilliant broadcaster. I'm
Correct.
not up on my winter sports, but she explains everything with such clarity, making it more accessible to Luddites like myself. I couldn't agree more, Leon. I thought she was absolutely brilliant.
Here.
Absolutely brilliant. Now, some night for the Borough last night. They went top of the championship with a 2-1 win away at Sheffield United.
Referee blows the whistle and Middlesbrough are at the top of the championship. 11 weeks ago they were 10 points behind the leaders Coventry, but now they sit top of the table and their next fixture is against Coventry City. Job done here. 6 league wins on the spin for the Borough. They've beaten Sheffield United. It ends Sheffield United 1, Middlesbrough 2.
Up next for the Borough, Coventry City away. It's live and exclusive on talkSPORT 2. That's next Monday night. Let's get more on this and cross over to legendary broadcaster, big Borough fan, mate of mine, Chris Kamara. Morning, Cammy.
Morning, Cammy.
Hey, morning, Jeff. Morning, Coisty. How are you?
What a top form,
we're
pal.
good,
How
mate,
are you?
but you must be as well.
Good.
Look, I tell you what, I mean, I sat and watched that game last night, Cammy, and Chris Wilder said afterwards, Middlesbrough the best side we played, and by some distance. And I tell you what, for a lot of the game, they looked in a different league.
What a great game of football, Jeff. Forward passes only. Go sideways or backwards as a last resort. That was football as it used to be. You know, just think, first and foremost, get the ball forward. Hayden Hackney was absolutely outstanding. He's the heartbeat of that team. And the new manager, Kim Helberg, he's put his identity on that side. The work rate of the likes of Tommy Conway, the composure and class of Luke Ayling, you know, in his prime of his career, playing like that. Amazing.
Cammy, we speak about momentum all the time in football, you know, whether it's United or whoever has got it. But Borough, at this moment in time, the momentum's with them. The opposite, you'd have to say, sadly, for Frank at Coventry. And a little bit, I thought Ipswich had a terrific result at Derby at the weekend, mate. Jeff and I, yourself, we absolutely love that league. We love the championship. Can Borough go up automatically, you think?
Well, you can't count your chickens. Because this league, the top can beat the bottom, and the bottom can beat the top. It's as simple as that. No manager will get carried away at this stage of the season. There's Ipswich in the mix, there's Hull, there's a few others in behind. So they won't get carried away, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, look, Borough fans are long-suffering. Let them get carried away a bit.
They got carried away last night at that game.
They were brilliant.
How good was Sheffield United, though?
Oh,
That's the thing as well. They played to the top of their game. And if Joe Rothwell hadn't been sent off, we would have had 10 minutes at the end.
Yeah, but I thought Borough were great. Whenever Sheffield United did threaten, Sol Bryn was fantastic. What about your mate Steve Gibson then? What about Gibbo? Is he looking forward to the possibility of the Premier League, Cammy, or is he worried about how much it's going to cost him?
No, he's not worried about that. The thing he's worried about is he doesn't get carried away, Jeff. You know him. I know him really well. If you say to him there, what do you think your chances are of it away? But what play is allowed, which it doesn't seem to be for the promoted teams, although Sunderland have made some great signings this year and elevated themselves above the promoted teams for a while. So,
mate, did not know an awful lot about him. I know he led Hammarby to consecutive runner-up positions, 24 and 25. But apart from that, I did not know an awful lot about him. And boy, has he hit the ground running.
Wow, amazing. It's the football that I'm impressed with. It's absolutely scintillating, enjoyable. When you pass that ball backwards, make sure there's a forward pass on next, and it's a delight to watch. It really is. Obviously, they've had their ups and downs this season. They can't get to that maximum every single game, but you saw them last night at their maximum, and that was the best championship match I have seen for a long, long time.
Oh, Cammy, it was brilliant. The prospect of Newcastle, Sunderland and Borough in the top 5 were great for the North East. Just quickly, mate, before we talk about your tour, lots of messages here. I want to read you 2 or 3. Brad says, great to hear Cammy on the radio. Read his book, which is incredible. Lovely to hear his voice. Chris in Wrexham, we need more Cammy on the airwaves. Great to hear you, Cammy. Neil says, great to hear Cammy. What a legend.
I told you to get rid of Coisty.
I've been trying, Cammy. I have been trying.
Brilliant, mate.
Fantastic.
Surely we've got a three up front. I can be the middle. You two can be the wide men. Come on, Cammy.
Now look.
You nearly said a threesome there.
Cammy, people can see you though, and they can hear you because you're off on tour with Ben Shepherd. When does it all start?
I know, I bombed you, Jeff.
I know.
We start in the
I've been given the big
Sunday. Yeah, the big heave-o. You're doing your own tour without me. You thought I was finished and no more coming.
I didn't, but my shows are with Bianca Westwood, and she's a lot easier on the eye than you are, mate.
Well, that goes without saying, Jeff, but we start in Middlesbrough on Sunday. We've sold 85% of the tickets at the town hall, so there's room for a few more if anyone wants to come along.
Yeah, and
we're talking about our careers. Ben Shepherd was in some great movies. I've forgotten the name of them. And we talk about tipping point as well. I'll give you an example of the tipping point questions that Ben has had over the years. Jennifer Lopez starred with Ralph Fiennes in the film Made in Where? Do you know the answer?
No. No.
Well, it was Manhattan, but he got the answer back, made in Chelsea.
I thought it might have been made in Middlesbrough, mate, you know?
So there's some great stuff like that.
Brilliant.
And What's the film Ben was in, God? Harry Potter. My wife's just shouted it. Yeah. He was in Harry Potter, so there's some great clips. You featured, Jeff, as well. The true story about Japan, 2002.
Well, we won't tell anybody that here. That's for sure,
No.
Cabby. Hey, look, so that's Middlesbrough on Sunday, and I know you're off to Portsmouth and London and Manchester as well. So many more messages. Greg Nolan, Cammy's